Hey, Raptor Freaks, Lexi Otts here, Saturday morning. Here checking in with you, the 9:30 daily Raptor Freak update. Yeah, good morning, Nameless. Good to see you so early in the morning, Mr. Nameless. Good to see you. Today, we're doing the Saturday Share Love Club, and today we are celebrating former Raptor coach Dwane Casey. Dwane Casey was the coach of the Raptors from 2011 to 2018, like 8 years of our history in our franchise. In fact, he's the longest standing coach in the Raptors history, and we would be remiss if we did not honor and celebrate Dwane Casey at some point. Now, I don't want to do this during the season because Casey is an active coach in this league, coaching for the Detroit Pistons. And you know what? He is the enemy at this point. In fact, the lines are very much drawn, and it just has to be this way because of how we dealt with him on the way out. It's sad but true, but it is how it is. It's a cutthroat business, and this is how things are done. We've got to a point of, in Casey's tenure with our team that we kept hitting our head on the ceiling and we weren't getting any further. And it's not totally Casey's fault. I mean, LeBron James had a big part of it, obviously, but to get that championship the next year, we will never know if Casey could have gone that way with Kawhi Leonard on his team all of a sudden like that. Was it more Dwane Casey or was it DeMar DeRozan? We don't know. We will never know. But listen, there is some very different things we got to talk about with Casey. We're going to go over them right now. Good morning to Lolita. She's saying good morning. Good morning, Canadian Cowboy. Ta-da! For all your carpet cleaning and renovations and painting needs, call the brothers at Ta-da. They will come and help you out here in the Toronto area, 416 area. Ta-da! Canadian Cowboy, good morning to you, my friend. Yeah! Just real quick note, this morning, Terrence Ross has dropped a video on his YouTube channel of him and Scotty having their first game of a series that they are going to have on NBA 2K. That these guys have committed or verbally committed to have a 7-game series of video games against each other. And Scotty won the very first game, and it's up on Terrence's channel now. So you want to see what happened between Terrence Ross and Scotty Barnes. Don't look at Scotty's channel. Go to Terrence Ross's channel on YouTube, and there's about a 15-minute clip up now where you can see the entire game and how it went down, all the talk, all the back and forth, how close it was, and how Scotty just barely won the game. So it's very good entertainment for Raptor freaks like us to see a former Raptor like Terrence Ross playing against our Rookie of the Year, our Big Four, Mr. Scotty Barnes, in competition on the NBA 2K. So, yeah, very much check it out. Canadian Cowboy, hey, shout out every single time. Ta-da, baby. They're the great company for y'all to use here in Toronto. So go and check them out if you do have some jobs you need done around the house. These guys are good. Let's just say it. Lolita's saying it's just a bad timing all around. We got a championship in Masai we trust. It was actually, it was bad timing for Casey, bad timing for DeMar, but it was really good timing by Masai Ujiri. That, listen, this is the thing. Masai is all about family. He's all about protecting and being loyal to his people and stuff like that. But he's also a shark. Let's not get it twisted. There are reasons why people are scared to make deals with him in this league. Is because he's an incredibly intelligent, astute person who's not afraid to make very gutsy, tough decisions that may not be totally popular in the moment. In fact, Masai was bracing himself for a lot of hate from the team for moving DeMar and Dwane that summer. Kyle Lowry was not speaking to Masai Ujiri for about half a year because of the DeMar trade. So the Dwane Casey thing was very risky. I mean, listen, it didn't look good. The man had just won Coach of the Year for us. And then a week later, we fired him, and then we elevated his assistant coach into his spot. Yeah, that didn't feel good to Casey, I'm sure. And, in some ways, Doug Smith has said in his book that Casey still does not speak to Masai Ujiri or Nick Nurse to this day. Now, there's no problems. It's not like he's sniping them or anything. He knows it's a business, but they are not friends anymore. That there has been a tie that has been cut because of this as far as relationship and stuff like that. We have to remember that Casey was never Masai's hire. Casey was a coach that Brian Colangelo hired before Masai showed up. And Masai let Casey continue to coach this team under him because he wanted to continue to give him a chance, even though he was not one of his people. So that is a big factor in it also. Now, Nick Nurse and Dwane, Nick doesn't really have a problem with Dwane. Obviously, he doesn't. But Dwane Casey has talked a lot of crap about Nick Nurse behind his back in certain areas, in certain places. There have been, especially right after when it all happened, Casey said a lot of things that were not very nice about Nick Nurse or Masai Ujiri. Now, the other guys, they didn't really say anything. They just, obviously they didn't have anything really to say because they didn't really have a gripe. But Casey did say stuff, and it was hurtful stuff that did hurt the relationship between Nick Nurse and Dwane Casey. So there is a real rift. If you watch the games against Detroit, you won't see Casey and Nurse acknowledge each other. You will not see them handshake each other at the game. You will see them leave the court. And that this is seriously, Casey can say all he wants in his interviews that he doesn't care about beating Toronto any more than any other team in this league, but he is lying. He is absolutely lying when he says that. He gets his guys up, and his guys just know the history between Toronto and him. So they naturally get up. And this is part of the phenomena of Casey's revenge and why Detroit kills us in the years since Casey came to their team. Is that it's real easy for the Pistons players to get up and try and win one for their coach when they understand the history of how he was done wrong by our team and stuff like that. That is a huge part of the factor. So because of this, I want to start healing the wounds a little bit more as time passes on. I'm sure things have gotten better. Things are better. Sure, Casey probably feels a whole lot better at beating us down over and over again and getting wins over us. That does probably feel pretty good. That, yeah, my guys stood up for me and they kicked some ass and we beat the Raptors every single time we played them last season. He can feel good about that. So I want to kind of like give him a little peace symbol, fly some doves over towards him, give him a little sprig of peace and offering to him and say, we love you, Casey. Listen, I know y'all kill us. I know you hate us in some ways. You don't hate us. You don't hate Toronto. You don't hate the fans, but you hate Nick and you hate Masai. And that's understandable. But I listen, at some point, please just let up on us just a little bit. Because listen, Dwane Casey is a great regular season coach. This was proven on our team for years. In fact, I want to look at his career with the Raptors a little bit and talk about it. The first couple of years, we were really bad, and Masai had not showed up yet, and they were really not a playoff team at that point. Then there were a couple of years where they were like 39 wins, like 30 wins, somewhere around there between 30 and 39 wins. And then boom, they had a jump up. It was really kind of around when Lowry showed up and he started to get to play with us more. And they made the Rudy Gay trade and got those Sacramento guys back. And that really good trade, we had a leap that year into the playoffs and became a playoff team. And we haven't looked back since. We have been a playoff team every single year since, except for Tampa. And that's the thing. Casey had a big part of bringing us up from being like a 300 percentage winning team, like at 300, up to being like a 500 to 600 win percentage team. And that is a big deal. And that's what he's going to do with Detroit right now. In fact, I have made the bold prediction that Detroit's going to be just as good as Cleveland this year. And that's because this is the time when Casey's roots and what he's done with their system is going to flower up. I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen. It's something y'all can bet on this year because Casey's system is very much a development system that starts early. He's instilling certain things with those young Pistons. And that what's going to happen is this year they're going to flower and open up, and they're going to be making that leap that I just described that the Raptors did after the Rudy Gay trade and Kyle Lowry's emergence. Cade Cunningham's going to have his second year. He's going to be even better. You got Jaden Ivey all of a sudden. You've got more young guards and stuff like guys coming up with them. And I really predict that as Casey's schedule for how he develops a young team from being a very bad team into a playoff team is on time. And that this may be the year that we see that jump where the Pistons are a playoff team all of a sudden. I'm not going to say a full playoff team. I'll say they're going to be in the play-in, but they will be a factor in the postseason this year for the first time in a while. And that this is just how Casey does it. He instills the defensive mentality, the defensive systems. He instills all this different stuff, the discipline, the pound the rock stuff he did with us. And it's going to start showing some real positive gains for the Pistons team this year. That it will really mirror what he did in Toronto. That he had some bad years in the beginning, and then boom, all of a sudden they're a playoff team. And I really do believe that's going to happen this year. That's the thing. Casey's really, really a tough disciplinarian coach, but he's also had to adjust in different ways. Like, it would not have worked with us in Toronto with Kyle Lowry if he had not adjusted in certain ways with Kyle's attitude and things like that. They both grew as people during their time with Toronto at that time. That Kyle had to grow up as a person and mature and be a better NBA player. And Casey had to be a little bit more lenient with a personality like Kyle to get what he needed out of him and not just blow up the whole team. Because initially, when they first were together on the Raptors, it was not pretty. There was a lot of button heads, a lot of arguing, and they did not see eye to eye. In fact, they hated each other. And they had to come to a peace talk and understand, for them to be successful and to do well together, they had to work with each other. And that meant Kyle growing up a little bit and being a little bit more of a leader in a mature way. And it meant Dwane Casey maybe chilling out a little bit and allowing Kyle to be a little bit more of who he is. And it may not be exactly the kind of player he's used to coaching, but he had to give allowances to him and not be so harsh with him. So really interesting subject today, Dwane Casey. And it is really important that all Raptor fans understand why he is important to our franchise and that we honor him, because he's a huge part of the reason why we won the championship. He's a huge part of the reason why we are a perennial playoff team year after year right now, even though he hasn't coached our team in like 4 years. So that's what I'm saying. He's been an important dude for our history, and he always will be. And we need to love and honor him, even though he is the enemy. So, all right, let me see what else you guys are saying. G's here. Do you think the 2019 Kawhi team would have had the same outcome with Casey? I don't, just based on in the Bucks series being 0-2 to start and the adjustments. Gee, this is a really good point. Yeah, this is a mental exercise we can take. We can say, all right, what if we didn't make the deal for Kawhi and we had DeMar but we still had Dwane, we had Nick Nurse instead and we didn't have Casey? Would we have won that way, or would we have won if we had traded DeMar but kept Dwane Casey and had him as the coach with Kawhi? These are good mental exercises to kind of go through and try and figure out. And I think the point in the playoffs that you're pointing out is exactly where it would be tough for them to come back from. Because listen, Casey was, this is the whole reason why we fired him. This is numero uno, and this is the only reason, really, because everything else about him was fantastic. There's a certain point in the playoffs where adjustments is the game. And that if the coach is not making the adjustments fast enough in relation to the coach on the other team, then you're getting out coached. And that was a huge Achilles heel of Dwane Casey, is he'd go into games with a set game plan, and he really, really tried to stay rigid to it. And that was a real downfall for him in many, many series and things that we were dealing with. In fact, we can look at all the Cleveland series we lost to LeBron, and you can tell the telltale signs of Dwane Casey not doing enough to change in the middle of the game to allow us to try and win. He stuck to his guns too much, and that was the big problem. So in that kind of logic with what G's saying, we go down 2-0-2 to Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals. Would he adjust or figure it out well enough to come back and get the next four and win that series like we did with Nick Nurse and Kawhi Leonard and Serge Ibaka, saying, lighting a fire under our butts and saying, no, this is it. Serge Ibaka saying his impassioned speech. Kawhi Leonard saying, yeah, I got us, and stuff like that. I don't know. We will never know. But with the history of the playoffs with Casey, I would probably say you're right, G, that we probably wouldn't have adjusted and that Milwaukee would have beat us in the Eastern Conference Finals with Casey as our coach instead of Nurse. So good morning, Monique. Always good to see Raptors super fan Monique Lawrence, one of the best fans in the Raptors Nation for sure. That's right. Oh, yeah. All right, G's saying still have a ton of respect for Casey, though he helped build the culture. He really did. Like, honestly, that rock that they put in the locker room on the way in and out really did symbolize how he was doing things. That it's a grind. You got to keep working and keep cracking at that rock. And then one day, boom, it'll crack and you'll have a breakthrough and everything will be even better and stuff like that. But it takes hard work, dedication, and time. And that was what he was all about. Hard work, dedication, and time. I love Casey so much because he really, really was a dude for his dudes. He really, really did love and take care of his players in different ways. There's a certain connection between Dwane Casey and DeMar DeRozan, a certain connection between Dwane Casey and Terrence Ross, a certain connection between Dwane Casey and Kyle Lowry. And that's what I'm saying. That Casey is a fantastic coach. He is a badass NBA coach. And I'm so glad that he went and got a job immediately after we fired him and was right away in Detroit. And, the Pistons fans and Piston Nation should be very happy to have him because he is going to get that truck out of the mud for y'all and get y'all back into contention. He may not get you all the way to the championship level, and it may be a very similar kind of journey for him as with Toronto, with Detroit. But you know what? Listen, he's going to bring you up and elevate y'all into being a playoff team. Trust, he will do this. Give him time and he will. Now, what I was going to say about that also. I just listen, he's such a part of our fabric. There's so much open gym footage with Dwane Casey involved, so much history, so many moments, so much stuff. That, honestly, I love the man too. I love him so much, and I really do appreciate him for all kinds of things. Now, it's not the same kind of thing how I feel about DeMar. In some ways, DeMar it's crazy how much I really love and respect DeMar. But Casey, he's such a valid, important part of our history that we do need to recognize him and give him the right love. Monique saying Casey is a great regular season coach, but always fumbles during the playoffs. Yeah, he does have a little bit of that brand on him. Now, we have to say, even if Casey never wins a championship with the Pistons or in any other way as a head coach, he is an NBA champion because of being an assistant coach for the Mavericks when they won their championship with Dirk. So, he is an NBA champion. He can always say that, and he has the ring and stuff like that. So, and I think he actually may have even won a championship as a player, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he did. He wasn't on Seattle when they won in 79 with Lenny, I don't think. No, he wasn't that old. There's no way he was that old and playing at that time. But he at least has one ring. So he's been successful in his career, in his field. Now, sure, he'd probably love to win a ring as a head coach, but that may not be in the cards exactly for what Monique is saying here, that he's a really good regular season coach, but in the playoffs, you need to it's a game of adjustments. And that may be, like we said, his weakness and stuff like that. Cowboys saying Casey was good for us, but I'd rather have Nurse any day. Yeah. I mean, I can get behind this to a degree also. Listen, if we want to be the cutting edge of the NBA, if we want to be the team that's innovating and really is the one that's showing the rest of the league the way, and we're leading the league as far as innovation and changes and trying new shit that people may not want to, be daring enough to try and do, invest money and personnel and all this stuff. That is us now. And then in some ways, Nick Nurse is that kind of dude. And I love that. That really makes it so it's put us in any situation, any kind of thing. Let Nick read the room and how everything's going and let him figure it out, because he has such a wealth of knowledge from his varied experience around the world, coaching at different levels and in different leagues and all this kind of stuff. If something's happened on a basketball court, you can bet that Nick Nurse has had to deal with it, that he has some experience in dealing with it in that situation. So it's really hard to catch him off guard with different things and stuff like that. So, yeah. All right. Monique is saying, I'll be watching the 905 tryouts all evening online. They have that online? Seriously? I've seen the images just now before I got online here of how many people are out in Mississauga for this tryout that Eric Curry is setting up. This is so interesting and fun. I really hope he finds somebody in this group today that is valuable and he puts on the 905 team. It could be that there's some dude who's out in our community that is really, really good at one particular skill that Eric Curry may value for the 905 team. And that he may want to add this dude just because, whoa, that guy's really good at rebounding or something like that. Oh, man, did you see how that guy blocked that shot? That's all it can take is if you have a specialty skill in this tryout today that really, really is attractive to Eric Curry and the 905 coaches, you may have a shot. And I'm telling you, anything's possible. Let's write a Cinderella story about a person from the community of Toronto or Mississauga that just went down for a tryout and boom, all of a sudden, let's see how far they can get and stuff like that. But that's cool. That's online, Monique. I'm going to have to try and find that and maybe watch a bit myself, because that sounds really, really cool. Now, the tryouts, Cowboy, are already starting now. There are a bunch of people down there. There's a line down the hallway of guys They're coming down there to try out today. In fact, they had so much of an overwhelming response to the tryouts, they had to close them and say no more people can register to come down because we have more than enough people already. And you've seen them in the gym in the picture, and they're lined up all the way around the court, shoulder to shoulder. That's how many people there are that they can line them all the way around the court. It's crazy. So, yeah, Monique's saying it's starting now and stuff like that. Monique's also saying, watch Scotty's stream last night. Okay, yeah. So you saw the colorfulness with Aiden Ross and Cuffed or whatever his name is and stuff. Anyway, but yeah, fun stuff on the stream with Scotty on Twitch. He did not get back on Twitch again. I'm going to say that right now he's just silently grinding, trying to get those characters up and looking real nice before he reappears and shows it off to his Twitch stream again. So I know, Scotty, I know you're on there and I know you're working hard. It may be that you're just splitting your time between OVO and playing that game and maybe a little bit of walking Cardi. And that's pretty much your life right now, is practicing in real life, practicing on 2K, and then walking the dog somewhere in between, maybe getting some sleep and eating somewhere in there too. Yeah, Isaac Campbell's here. Good morning to Isaac Campbell, a true Raptor freak. I love cheering for Coach Casey before he was named Coach of the Year. Detroit is always going to bring us a fight. Yeah, in some ways, this is like a rivalry just because of Casey and the factor of this. And, the way that he's owning space and Raptor heads, Raptor fan heads, we have to think about Casey. There's a lot of fans of the Raptors that are like, oh, no, not Casey, Casey. I refuse to use that C word when it comes to Casey. As far as things, I call it Casey's revenge. And I think that is very, very more apropos to use in this situation than that C word that nobody should be using in sports. Listen, you shouldn't use that C word in any kind of way. Don't even bring it up. It's a revenge. It has nothing to do with that. We have no kind of thing like that C word says and stuff like that. So it's Casey's revenge, and he continues to get it from time to time. But we did have 1 year since he left where we swept Detroit, and hopefully that year can be repeated this year. It really seems like all or nothing when we play the Pistons during the season series. It's either they win them all or we win them all. And we're going to have to figure that out this year when we play them. Like I said, it is a great kind of, it's weird. The Raptors have different kinds of rivalries in the league, whether it's our Philly rivalry, whether it's our rivalry with Brooklyn, rivalry with Boston. We have a rivalry with Detroit also. And stuff like that. So, all right, let's see. Naco the Nacho saying, if Cade truly has a Luka Doncic ceiling, Casey could win a chip. Coach Bud didn't make adjustments in the playoffs too, but he learned Casey could too. Interesting observations. I love this, Naco. So he's saying that he thinks Casey could win a chip in Detroit. I don't disagree. I mean, anything's possible, especially since LeBron is not LeBron anymore and he's not playing for the Cavaliers. That really was the huge block for Casey when he was with Toronto. That who knows if LeBron had not been playing on Cleveland for a few of those years, with the Raptors being like the number one seed and being so OP during the regular season, we may have made some more noise without LeBron being in the Eastern Conference or being around. That may have been a big part of why Casey was kept away from it here. Now, I like that you're saying, like, if Cade is like a Luka Doncic kind of player, that he could elevate and take them to the promised land. And it's interesting that you bring up the Bucks and Coach Bud. And I think you're right that he didn't make super adjustments against Phoenix when they played each other in the finals. But also, we have to remember Milwaukee got a little bit of help from Scott Foster. And we're going to be talking about him a lot tomorrow, guys. So be ready. Sunday special report, untold story, flagrant foul, the Tim Donaghy story. We're going to talk about Scott Foster tomorrow. Oh, yeah, we will. Oh, yeah, we will. Monique's saying, I've been a season seat holder when Casey was on board, so I know the in and out well here. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Monique, you probably met Casey before in the past and stuff like that. He's a good dude. I mean, I love him, honestly. And I don't fault him for being bitter towards us. We did him raw. We did DeMar raw. That summer, Masai was a gangster. He was ruthless. He was just like, I'm going for blood, and I don't give a crap whose blood it is. We're going to get a championship. Well, it worked. If it hadn't, though, he would have looked real weird, firing a coach of the year and sending a franchise player away for not getting a championship in the end. That we really had to win it all, or it would have been a failure in different ways. So it was really, really important. And Masai's a genius. We just got to say that. He's cutthroat, he's ruthless, but he's a genius. He figured it all out and he got it right. Let's see. G saying boxing one is now being used when it was mocked at first. Nurse does what needs to be done. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The innovation, I don't care what you think, whether this is like silly, you're playing a high school defense and stuff like that. No, we'll go ahead and we'll do this kind of stuff. That's why we're going to do this positionless stuff and make people think, whoa, this is not going to work or something like that. Well, it's going to work. Trust me, because Nick Nurse will figure it out. Jimmy Pope, good morning. See my good friend Jimmy Pope. Missed you for a bit, but I'm so happy you're back. Check in and come back anytime, brother. We always love having you here, Jimmy. Canadian Cowboy saying, what kind of dog did Scotty get? Scotty's got a Rottweiler, Bradley. He went and got a Rottweiler, Cardi. Only 3 months, but Cardi is mostly housebroken. Although during the long stream the other night with Aiden Ross, Cardi took a big dump on his carpet in the middle of the stream. He's like, oh no, Cardi, you took a poop on my carpet and stuff like that. And like, yeah, a little bit of that freak out. But that was really around like 4 a.m. in the morning. And that he had been playing all night and he's hungry and all this kind of stuff. And the dog was probably like just restless because why is Scotty still up and doing these things on this video game all night? And then the dog just pooped on the carpet around 4 a.m. Thursday night or Friday morning. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the insider news that you get on the Raptor Freak channel when Scotty's dog shit on his carpet. There you go, y'all. Boom. You don't get that on any other Raptors content channel. No, you don't. You don't get the exact time when his dog took a poop on his floor. No, you don't. All right, let's see. Jimmy Pope saying Casey's going to do good with the Pistons. Yeah, he's already on the way. He's doing the hard work right now. The last couple of seasons of them losing and stuff like that, don't get used to that. They're on their way up. And this year is going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be this year. That's the timeline that worked with us. We look at how when he arrived in Toronto, he had 2 or 3 years where they were not good, were not in the playoffs, and then boom, in the playoffs ever since. And we can expect that with Casey because when he builds something up, it's not coming down. He's not trying to go and then he's building it up to make it good foundation to last. And that's what he's doing in Detroit, just like he did for us. So Pistons fans, be happy and be glad you got Coach Casey because he's going to help you guys be a playoff team again and keep being a playoff team because that's what he did for us. I expect him to do it for y'all. Cowboy can't wait for this season. We're all the same. Oh, my gosh. It doesn't matter if it's you, it's me, it's Monique, it's Scotty Barnes, it's Chris Boucher. We're all can't wait to get back to work. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing work during this season, just like I've been doing in the offseason. And I know Scotty and the rest of the Raptors, Coach Nurse, Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, we're all going to be doing work this year, working towards that second Larry O'Brien this year, 2022, 2023, Toronto Raptors, World NBA champions. That's what we want, baby. That's what we want. That's the only thing we want. And we're all working together in concert towards that goal. That is right, baby. Kenny's here. Good to see Kenny. I love seeing Kenny in here. Casey is a good coach and we'll support him, but Nick fits our vision much better. Yeah, I agree with this. In some ways, like I said, Casey was never Masai's guy. He was Brian Colangelo's guy, but Nick Nurse was Casey's guy. That Nick Nurse and Masai have similar kind of things. They went the long way to get to where they are in their professions, whether it's sleeping on couches, making no money as a scout, or Nick Nurse going and living in crazy countries and coaching crazy teams and crazy situations and crazy leagues. They've gone through the schools of hard knocks. And there's a lot of general respect between Nick Nurse and Masai Ujiri for their paths and how they got to where they are now. That it was not overnight. It was something that took years and years of work and hard work that did not get compensated very well for. And that's how you know these guys are dedicated and real ones. They see that in each other. And that's why, in a lot of ways, Nick Nurse was Masai's guy all along. And on the down low, we didn't even realize it. He was grooming him underneath Dwane Casey to probably come up and take this spot all along in some ways. So he was like, look, Casey, we're going to keep you in here because you're doing well. And I don't want to fire you just because I didn't hire you. I'm going to let you keep going. But then there was a certain point where Masai was like, yeah, I got to pull the trigger on this. And you got to give Masai a lot of credit for giving Casey such a long leash with the Raptors. How many years did he coach with Masai Ujiri as his boss? It was like 6 years, six years of his career in Toronto. Masai was in charge and could have fired him at any time and said, I want my own dude in here. He didn't do that. So you got to give Masai a lot of credit in this situation also, that he let Case continue to coach the team, even though he wasn't his dude. and stuff like that. So Monique's saying cup games through November. 8 teams advance to single elimination final in December. Other 22 continue with regular season. All games part of normal 82 game schedule. One extra for 2 finals teams. You know what she's describing here? This is the bombshell for yesterday, that the NBA is really seriously wanting to do a mid-season tournament. Yeah, just like how they ran the G League season last year. The beginning of the season, all the teams are playing for like a record to be qualifying into a tournament. And if you make the right record, you get into this tournament and you win a cup. And a lot of people are saying, whoa, wait a second. That means there's going to be 2 champions in a league in the season? Yeah. And it's kind of similar to what they do in different soccer leagues around the world. They have a mid-season tournament. And this in some ways will be really good for the league. I totally didn't understand it, but now that they've explained it more in their release yesterday and what Monique is saying here, it makes more sense. Now, the way that they'll do it is, like she said, they'll all count towards a regular 82 game schedule like we are used to. And that these games will be, in fact, used in the statistics for the season so that it can still be comparable to past years. As far as this is an 82 game season, this is 82 game season, stuff like that. So that's good. I like that it's not taking away from the ability to have statistical comparison from years past towards what the years in the future are going to be, just even though we have this mid-season tournament coming up. So, and some people are saying that maybe they should have the tournament culminate on Christmas Day, that they already have this crazy thing about the NBA and Christmas Day, that maybe the tournament final and stuff like that should happen on that day to make it even more special and stuff like that. I love the ideas. I love the innovation. And I think this is part of the way the NBA stays fresh and cool to a lot of people, because this is a whole kind of new thing. Plus, it allows for different teams that may not have real championship goals at the end of the year and getting the real Larry O'Brien and getting a little bit of good winning and feeling and stuff like that from winning that thing. Some people have said it'd be awesome for the Raptors to win the first one or win this midseason tournament, because then we could have players like Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet can say that they're Triple Crown winners in the NBA, meaning they won the G League championship, they won the NBA championship, and now they've won this midseason tournament championship also. That Fred and Pascal in particular could be ahead of everybody else because they've got a G League championship, and not many of the guys who have regular season championships, Larry O'Brien's, can say that. So that's an interesting Triple Crown that our 2 dudes can collect, but we have to win that midseason tournament when it comes up first. And I love it. I love the whole idea of it. You guys will do a thing on the think tank maybe next week where we talk about all these new rules and things like the Elam ending and the different changes that the NBA is thinking about doing with their league, and whether we like it or not, and whether it'll work, and what we may be excited about it. If they are, it really does seem like they're going to do it. People are going to complain about it and say, oh, it's like traditionalists. They're going to say, oh, this isn't what the NBA is supposed to be and stuff like that. But they'll fight it. But the NBA is going to do it. They don't give a shit what we think. They're going to do it. Trust me. Let's see. Lolita's saying Blake Griffin at one point was so steamed over how Casey was treated by the Raptors after the firing. So Casey must have talked to him about it. Yeah, listen, it doesn't take a whole lot to get upset about that, especially if you're somebody who didn't really like the Raptors already. You see Casey and you see him do all this good stuff. It's a really sad story. Like, sure, you could tell it and just the facts of it. And somebody would be like, man, they did him wrong. Well, these players really can be like, they can feel really justified. It's kind of like if there's a bad guy out in the world and they need somebody to catch him. Well, if you go and catch him and you shoot him, you feel justified because they were so bad that, yeah, you really should have done it because they were such an awful person, Ted Bundy or Charles Manson or something like that. Well, in some ways, we're the villain and we look bad. So the Pistons players in their heads can be like, this is horrible organization. Did Coach Casey like this after he worked so hard for them and built them up? And then they won a championship without him right afterwards on the backs of his work. That's a real easy way for somebody like Beef Stew or Cade Cunningham to say, I'm going to win this one for Case because this pisses me off about how they did him wrong and stuff like that. So, yeah, I can see Blake Griffin getting out of, like when he was on the Pistons during that time, him getting really up for games because of the Casey situation himself and stuff like that. So Monique saying, how are we feeling about it? I like it personally. I like the midseason tournament idea. I think that it's a good idea. And I love the NBA being not afraid to kind of make changes and make it fresh and more interesting as time goes on. And this is just symbolic of it. G saying, I had 2 Rottweilers. Scotty is in for a lot of work. I know. Listen, but at least he's hands on with it. He doesn't just have people that are going to take care of the dog all the time for him. He has definitely got a bond with Cardi, and he is the one who is primarily taking care of the dog, at least right now, while he's not in the middle of the regular season. Now, down the road, when he's on the road, exactly, and stuff like that, he's going to have people taking care of him. I don't know if he's going to kennel him or do what he's going to do with them, but he'll have somebody out there taking care of his dog and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see how big this dog gets, because Rottweiler can get pretty big, and it doesn't hurt that this is the kind of dog that's actually really good for house security. That, Scotty, listen, I don't want anybody lurking around you or messing with you or following you or doing anything, but it's a good thing, not that you're not a badass yourself and a big dude that can take care of yourself, but having that dog around also is good home security also. And I love that you got Cardi. It's awesome. So cool. And I love seeing the love that you have for your puppy. Yeah, puppy. Yeah. All right. Monique's saying, gee, I'm glad you brought up the boxing one. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, listen, they're different kinds of coaches, Casey and Nurse. And there's a lot of Casey did things that Nurse didn't like as the head coach. And he changed because of that. One of the things that Nick Nurse was very frustrated about under Casey as being an assistant coach for him was Nick Nurse was the designated offensive coach. You guys know this, right? Like for the years and years before Nick Nurse became our head coach, he was our offensive coach, and he only solely was in charge of offense. That he was the one who was only bringing up like offensive stuff. And then there was another coach that did defense. There was another coach that did this, and they all had specific roles. Well, part of the reason why Nick Nurse does the rotation on these jobs in his current coaching staff is because he hated being pigeonholed to just being the offensive coach. That he realized that in some ways this hurts the way these guys coach the team or give information to the head coach, because they all give them information and want players to play with the interest of what their area is. So like Nick Nurse wanted the offensive players to play more minutes, the guys who could score and fill it up and make him look good on the offense. Meanwhile, the defensive coach wants the more defensive-oriented players playing more minutes. So there's a conflict of interest as far as like building everybody up in a really all-around way, because there's a competition between the defensive-minded coach and the offensive-minded coach. Well, Nick Nurse changed this by rotating all of his assistant coaches from job to job. That you're not just a defensive coach for this time, Adrian Griffin. You've got to be the offensive coach for a month or two now in the middle of the season. And that way it gets rid of any kind of like reasoning for why assistant coaches may want to give information or shape the things that they're telling the head coach in their own interest for their department of what they are in charge of. And that's brilliant. He saw it from the inside underneath Casey and saw how it was hurting him in seeing those things. And that was part of the genius of Nick Nurse opening it up and it helps these coaches too, because they're more well-rounded. They get to try each area and get experience in each one instead of just being the offensive coach like he was and stuff like that. So that's an interesting story about the differences in coaching styles between Dwane Casey and Nick Nurse, is that he was always just the offensive coach under Dwane Casey, and he didn't like that. So he changed it when he became the head coach, and that's why he does the rotational because coaches positions. To this day, he still does it right now. So yeah, Jimmy Pope's saying, how do you feel about us in the East now that the Cavs got Donovan Mitchell? That's not the team I'm worried about in the East. The Cavs, I'm 50-50 on whether this is going to work. I don't think he's going to be a good fit for them. In fact, I was thinking about this earlier when I was just getting up, is that like Nick Nurse is probably looking at this Donovan Mitchell move to the Cavs, and he's like kind of licking his lips. Because this is the thing, Mitchell's not necessarily the best defensive player. And that, listen, their backcourt is going to have a lot of problems. It may be that they're seeing a lot of opportunity because Mitchell's on their team now, that we can subjugate them in certain ways with our personnel against Mitchell being on the Cavs. So I don't necessarily think this is a plus move for them. I really don't. Like a lot of people are just saying, oh, it's a home run. Cleveland's going to be so good because of this. I'm not sold on that. And then we're going to find out real quick. The team I'm worried about in the East now is the Sixers. I'm sorry. Harold showing up and them having PJ Tucker all of a sudden, this is bad news for us. That these are going to be really, really war games now between the Sixers and the Raptors coming up this season because they beefed up. And that was one of the advantages that we had over Philadelphia was that we were a beefier team overall. Well, now they're beefed up a little bit more, and it's going to be a little bit more of a slugfest with Montrezl Harrell and PJ Tucker on their side. So I'm not worried about the Cavs. Let's put it that way. I think they're going to be about the same as they were last year and maybe not even as good. That they're a little bit overhyped just because of this one big move. But I could be proven wrong. It could be that it works really, really well. But I don't see it right now. I don't see the evidence of it. It's like, listen, Donovan Mitchell is a great scorer. He's fantastic to watch. He's fun to watch. He gives you highlights. It's like Lloyd watched the bubble highlights the other day on his stream just because he loved the bubble and the scoring and stuff like that. That doesn't always translate to winning. That's what I'll say. The Donovan Mitchell, even in Utah with such great players around him, I don't know if this team is better than a Utah team that he was on a couple years ago. That's what I'm saying. So Cleveland doesn't scare me as much as Philly. Let's just put it that way. Monique's saying no other coach has their own merch like Nurse. Casey didn't. Well, this is partly because all of a sudden on the Raptors, all the guys were starting to get their own merch. We had Norman doing his stuff. We had Fred doing his bet on yourself. We had Pascal with the PS Heart and stuff like that. Well, Nick got in on it with the NN and stuff like that. So it just was very in vogue for Raptors people to have brands all of a sudden in clothing. And Nick Nurse in his little NN hat was just a part of that whole part and stuff like that. I mean, Casey could have his own gear and stuff like that. He'd probably have a shirt with a rock on it, a big, huge rock on it. I'm wondering if he took that rock to Detroit. Did he, this is the opposite of JYD getting in the pickup truck and driving straight from Detroit to the Raptors when he got traded to us years and years ago, Jerome Williams. As well, did Casey get in a pickup truck and throw that big ass rock in the bed and drive it across the border? And then when he got to the border, Casey's like, what do you got in the back of your truck? And he's like, oh, it's my rock. Why do you have a 1,500-pound rock in the back of your truck, though? Why? And it's like, it looks like your axle's about to break. This is important. They got to pound the rock in Detroit. I could just see the scene. I know that's silly, but I'm just saying, but that's hilarious. All right, let's keep going. Cowboys saying to Jimmy Pope about the Cavs. Nothing has changed. The Cavs need to do more trades. We got this. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, listen, in some ways, I think Lauri Markkanen leaving the Cavs may hurt them in some ways. Like he was an important offensive big guy in some ways on their team, and that they lost one of those. And then Colin Sexton's a weird player. I'm going to tell you right now, he was undervalued by them in weird ways. And I don't know what the problem was. They wanted to get rid of him halfway through the season last year. But he was very talented and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't believe anything about Cleveland right now. Listen, we got to see if it works. And game one of the season, we're going to play them and we're going to beat their ass because they won't have their act together by that point. They got to meld Donovan Mitchell into their lineup and see if he works. He's got to learn what they do and all this stuff. They won't have it all down by the time they play us in the first game of the season. And we better kick their ass is what I want to see. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Isaac saying, I think Scotty has a chip on his shoulder when he talks about Cade based on his streams. I can see Scotty playing extra hard versus Detroit. Okay. The relationship between Scotty and Cade is one of the best in the league. In fact, Scotty and Cade are more best friends than any of those other rookies in the year. Like he's friends with Jalen Green. He's okay with Evan Mobley, but Cade is his dude. No, this is the thing. They're like brothers. Like they really love each other and care about each other a lot. There's no animosity between them. So if there's any kind of getting up for the game, it's really that I want to beat my brother and I want to, it's all good natured. There's no bad feelings between them at all. They're always going to be brothers and love each other. Trust me. The way he talks about Cade on his stream is that he loves him, that is his dude. And stuff like that. So it would really be that they get up for the game because they want to have shit talk rights over each other. That, Scotty's not going to have animosity towards him to get up for the game. He just wants to beat him so he can brag that he's beat him. It's not that he's because he hates him or he's against him or anything. He loves Cade so much that really he's like his best friend in the league. I'm not going to lie, other than his teammates. So yeah, I hope he plays extra hard against Detroit no matter what. And that they just want to win because they generally always want to win anyway. But yeah, that relationship between Cunningham and Barnes is very strong and is a real friendship. And that won't be broken by anything in the NBA. These guys are going to always be best friends just because of their background and how they came up with each other. and stuff like that. G saying Mitchell takes the second most shots in the league last season. If he continues that, he will take away from Garland, Mobley, and the rest of them. Yeah, see, that's some of what people are conveniently leaving out about Mitchell coming to this team. This is part of the reason why I didn't want him on Toronto. Everybody's saying, "Oh, bring him to Toronto." No, fuck that. We want OG shooting. We want Pascal shooting. We want Scotty shooting. We want Gary shooting. Donovan Mitchell on your team all of a sudden is a black hole for your offense. He's going to suck so much up into him. And, that may take away offensive stuff from Evan Mobley in his young career. That may take away from this all-star shine to Darius Garland. I don't understand. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't think Darius Garland's an all-star. I don't think he's that good. I think that they way overhyped him for Cleveland last year. And that, I think he's just an average kind of point guard in this league. I don't understand why they made him so bigger than he is. I'm going to tell you that right now. I thought Sexton's a better guard than Garland, but for some reason, the NBA wants to go golden boy with Darius Garland and push him down our throats as being so badass and all this stuff. I don't see it. He's not that special to me. There's not a whole lot going on with him that is that much more interesting than somebody like Jalen Brunson or Malcolm Brogdon, stuff like that. So I don't understand this fascination with Darius Garland myself. But if the NBA really wants to hinder him from being an even better offensive player, go ahead, put Donovan Mitchell on the team and let him take looks away from him, because that is what's going to happen. G is exactly right. And this is the big reason why I didn't want him in Toronto. Is why do we want an undersized guard that's going to take all the shots and stuff like that? We don't need that. We have a very equitable offense. And Cleveland will be interesting to see how they balance who's getting shots and what to make this work. Because, Mitchell's not a good player on your court unless he's shooting a lot. He's waste on the court if he's not shooting a lot and trying to score a lot. You might as well not even play him if you're not using him at that high volume. So that's what I'm saying. It's that kind of stuff. Monique's saying, I need to see the changes first, though, Lex. At first, when you read now, I understand it. Team Canada guys. All right, you need to see the changes first, though. At first, when you read it, now I understand it. Oh, okay. Yeah. You're talking about with the midseason changes. You want to see how it works, and you want to see how it'll fit and stuff like that. Listen, they tried it last year in the G League, Monique. We saw it, how it worked with the midseason tournament in the G League last year. And we didn't qualify for it very well because we had a really crappy start to our 905 season last year. And I don't think we actually qualified for the tournament in the G League last season. So, but that's really the best place to go and look at it in action, is kind of review what happened in the G League last year, because that was really the first test of it. And I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was interesting what they were doing. I kind of paid attention to it, but not as closely as I'll probably will this year, just to see, because they're going to do it again. And they'll have it in the G League schedule this year as they continue to try it, guinea pig it and stuff like that. And then we'll see. It may start happening in the main league by 2024 or something like that, in 2 years from now. So Team Canada tomorrow, guys. Yeah, they play today. We got to see them play today, though. They got to beat Brazil. On the other side of U.S. beat Puerto Rico yesterday, and they're going to be playing. They're not playing Venezuela. They're playing Argentina. So it'll be Argentina. I believe it's Argentina, U.S. The winner of that will play the winner of Canada versus Brazil, and those are the four teams in the semifinals. And we'll have to see who wins today to play tomorrow for the finals of the AmeriCup 2022. Go Team Canada and Delano Banton, Nathaniel Mitchell. You guys go get that. Let's get Canada on the map by winning AmeriCup this year. That'll be a fantastic accomplishment, stuff like that. Let's go Banton. That's right, Cowboy. That's right. I love it. Marlon Toby, good to see my good friend Marlon Toby. Good morning. There's a Netflix documentary on the whole investigation of Tim Donaghy and the bets he placed on the NBA games. He, ref, and his connection to Scott Foster, all the phone calls between both. Yes, Marlon, tomorrow. Sunday special report. I am going to talk in depth my reaction to this Netflix documentary. I watched it a couple days ago. I'm marinating in my head exactly all the things I want to say about it. I'm going to talk to you guys about who I think is lying, because some of those three guys, you got Batista, you got that middleman Tommy, and then you got Tim Donaghy. One of them is telling the truth out of the three of them. Only one of them out of the three is telling the truth. And I'm going to tell you which one it is. and we're going to go over what all it means and where the NBA stands with all this and how much this may be still a problem, even though they tried to sweep it under the rug so far. So tomorrow, Marlon, all about this Sunday special report, talking about this documentary that you have brought up. So please tune in tomorrow, and we'll do a whole thing about it tomorrow for sure. Lolita saying, no, Casey will not win the chips because we will. Go Raptors. Yes, Raptor freak Lolita is a real one. She's like, no, he's not going to win in Detroit because we're going to be busy winning them instead. Like, Casey, you may have been blocked by LeBron when you were on our team. Well, we're going to block you now and be that blocker between you and getting that chip now. The Raptors and Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam. That's right. G saying, I agree. Sixers got better. Yeah, they're a little more scarier. It's going to be much more fun to battle with them. Boom, 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 boom. And, listen, I'm going to go a little bit ahead of time with what I was talking about just now with the thing for yesterday and the refs. If you think about what you see in the Donaghy thing and what they're telling us about the refs and how much they manipulate the game, you can really understand all season long when I called out ref manipulation and talking about refs doing shady shit, that there is real evidence that these guys do it in this Tim Donaghy documentary. So if you guys have not watched this on Netflix yet, please watch it today so we can all talk about it from an educated standpoint and things like that. But what I'll say about this is, if you look at the first 2 minutes of the playoff series with Philadelphia this year, Toronto, and Fred VanVleet getting those 2 fouls very early, that is pretty much what we're talking about right there. That they wanted to shape this series against the Sixers right away by taking our floor leader out of the game in game 1 by giving him 2 crazy-ass fouls 15 seconds into the game. And then also we've got to realize that a lot of these refs are from Philadelphia. That there is some favor Philadelphia gets just because there's this referee fraternity of Philadelphia refs. And Tim Donaghy is one of them. Let's put it that way. So tomorrow, more talk like what I just talked about in serious ways. But that's just a little clip. Like, we can look at that and say, like, bam, they railroaded Fred out of that first game by giving him 2 fouls right away. And that was a big deal because Fred was, like Sixers fans have told us, they've come in here and said that they hate Fred VanVleet because he always kills them. Well, that's how they do it. A Sixers, a Philly ref can take Fred out in the game 1. Boom. So we really have to be ready for all kinds of crazy things that they're going to try and do to us if we have to play Philadelphia again in the playoffs this year coming up. We're going to be more ready this time, better health and more understanding of what we're going to be up against and overcoming it all and stuff like that. Monique saying, so Amit Mann was analyzing the training camp roster yesterday on YouTube. Check it out. He's had some good content this summer. I really do appreciate some of his interviews he's had this summer with different trainers and people around our Raptors. I might have to check this out. This is an interesting training camp battle. There's a lot of talent. It's going to be really tough. It's really hard to predict and stuff like that. We all have our favorites of who we'd like to see get through this and be on our team this year. But we don't know how it's going to happen. We have to see what happens with training camp, preseason games, and really who's playing the best and who may be most healthy is part of it all factoring in too. But yeah, Justin, you got to show up healthy and have a really strong rest next month that's coming up because your spot on the Raptors is really on the line. And like Justin Champagny, take this real seriously. I know you are, because this is going to be the fight of your life for this month coming up as far as with your career right now. So let's see. Shane Waters is saying, happy Saturday. I tip my hat to Dwane Casey and appreciate some of the defensive MO he instilled in the Raptors we still see today. I can't share the love, though. He is the enemy. Oh, man, this is a real one. I love this Raptor freak spirit between Lolita saying, no, they ain't going to win the chip because we're in their way, and Shane saying, I respect him, but I cannot share love with him because he is the enemy. You guys are people that speak to my heart as a diehard Raptor fan. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to try and send the olive branch over to Dwane today because, listen, man, please let up just a little bit, Case. Come on, man. Please. You've got such good revenge on us already. But I know this will continue, and this will still be a factor whenever Toronto's playing Detroit and Casey is the coach. This is always going to be like this. It's going to be like this. But, yeah, we have to respect and love. I'll love Casey for it. Shane doesn't have to. And for what he did for our team. He really did build an identity and a culture for our team that is very intertwined with our defense. and that Casey had a big part of that. He has to get credit for this. Stuff like that. Isaac Campbell saying Harrell playing off Embiid could help free him up, and Sixers got better, but they are also slower in transition because of it. Good point, Isaac. Yeah, I'm seconding G on that. That is an interesting way of looking at things, that they will be slower up and down the court. Maxi's always going to be pushing it, though, and he'll be, in different ways. I'm really curious to see Harden in this whole thing, too, and what he's going to bring to the Sixers, because he is that kind of guy that can go OP all of a sudden and just take over the game and do different things. But he's not going to be anything like Houston, James Harden, but he will be some sort of weird point guard, James Harden, who's really looking for Embiid and Maxey and different people like that to get them really easy shots. Sixers are going to be a handful. They're going to be trouble. In fact, I think that, if there's top 4 team in the East, it's us, Boston, Milwaukee, and them. That we are the top 4 teams in the East right now, and the way it looks like right now. All right, let's keep going. Duke Rocks is saying Masai keeps trade talk close to the vest. Hearing about SGA and RJ trade with Raps. Are we interested in that? Ironically, both are Canadian. Okay, I'm really glad that Duke brought this up. I'm sick of this. Raptor fans, find something else to do right now. Do not keep pushing these trade stories. In fact, Thunder Nation's laughing at us about how we're thirsting for SGA right now. It's so dumb. Listen, he's got a big, huge contract in the Thunder. He's on the Thunder. Let's not talk about realms of possibilities, not get ahead of ourselves. There's no reason for us to get SGA on our team right now. It doesn't fit anything. So just shut up with your dumb little pieces about how we should get SGA right now. It's silly, it's stupid, and you're ahead of the game. You don't need to be doing it right now. Maybe when he's a free agent or something's coming up or something like that, or maybe if he's really like talking to the press and saying, I'm sick of being in Oklahoma City, then do it. But not right now. This is, like I've said so many times this week, we have our bus full. We've got the passengers we want on the bus to ride with us this season. We're not stopping to let some guys off and get some new guys on. We're not doing that right now. SGA is a Thunder player. He's going to be on the Thunder. And all you make us look bad when you write this content and you put this content out about how we should get RJ Barrett, we should get SGA. Fuck all that. We're good where we're at. We don't need to go get other guys right now. So just chill with this content, y'all. There's no reason to do it right now. And like I said, Thunder Nation is laughing at how hard up some Raptor fans are talking about SGA right now. And I'm sick of it. There's no reason to do this. If it's going to happen eventually, probably, you're right, because he does want to play for Toronto. You can think that he doesn't, Thunder, but he does. He'd love to come back and play here. And playing for Nick Nurse and Team Canada this summer has opened his eyes to how much fun it would be to play for the Raptors. And he will, on the down low, probably want to come here. But it's got to happen in the natural way. So stop forcing it by these stupid articles, because you get Oklahoma City fans being like, Toronto fans are pathetic the way they're thirsting for our guy, just like other teams thirst for Scotty Barnes. So let's just cut out the thirst. This is really very much a way that every person should be in their own life. Stop lusting after things that you don't have in your life. Be very happy with what you have and appreciate what you have and have gratitude for it in your own life, because then you will be happy. These are fans that smack up. They're not happy or content with what our team is already. When you start talking about how we need to get SGA and this and this and this, you're way ahead of yourself, and you need to just cut this kind of content out. It's stupid, and it gives other fan nations ammunition about how pathetic we are. And I don't like that. I don't like being associated with fans of my team that are constantly saying, we need to get RJ Barrett, we need to get SGA, we need to get this. And then they turn around and they diss Kem Birch, who's on our team, who's Canadian. You want all these Canadian teams, but you want to send the Canadian team who's already got on our team? So just stop, fans that are doing this. Just stop. No more SGA content. No more RJ Barrett content. Just because they're Canadian, yeah, they probably do want to play for Toronto. But let's let this happen within the right time frame when it's supposed to, and not right now. This is going into training camp. There's not going to be an SGA trade. So anybody who made SGA content this past week, you're an idiot. I'm just going to say that right now, because this isn't the time to do this. What are you doing this for? So that's what I'm going to say right now. That's my whole point about this, Duke. Is sure, maybe it'd be realistic in like a year or 2 or 3 years from now, but they're way ahead. And they're like, why are you talking about this right now? It's just a dumb distraction. We just had all the stupid Kevin Durant stuff. We've had all this trade talk and stuff like that. I'm not willing to trade any of our guys right now for Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, SGA, RJ Barrett. I don't give a shit who they are. We got our Raptor players for this season, and we're running with them now. And that's why I'm like, what is the point? Why are you making this content? It's stupid. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. I don't think these are real trade talks. I think this is just fanboys, fans of the Raptors dreaming and want, oh, it'd be so nice to have SGA on our team. That's all it is. Masai's not trying to trade to get SGA right now. There's nothing real to this. This is just NBA fans making shit up and trying to be like, oh, I wish he would come here. That is all this is, Duke. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at those people that are making those content because it's really dumb. It's just stupid. It's pointless. It's pointless. It's fan fiction shit. Monique saying Fred back in Toronto last night. I love hearing this. I love hearing that El Capitan, Drake's twin, Mr. Fred VV, Mr. 23, Mr. Bet on Yourself, Fred Van Vliet Jr.'s dad is back in Toronto, right back in town, baby. In fact, yeah, I love hearing this. Fred, you are primed and ready to lead this team to the promised land. And I am so happy that Fred is on our team, and he is one of our main leaders on our team. He is so good at it. Yeah. Isaac's saying respect it, G. Duke's asking, the show's called Untold. It's in a series. They've done different episodes for different things. They did the one with the guy who had the fake girlfriend in college football and got in trouble, Manu Toy or whatever, I forget his name. They're different episodes. So the one you want to watch, Duke, is Untold Flagrant Foul, the Tim Donaghy story. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. And if you guys watch it this afternoon or sometime today, we can all talk about it tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. Untold Flagrant Foul, the Tim Donaghy story. That's the name of it. Rank Scrub saying, in non-competitive basketball, a ref managing games would be used to make the better team play squared to their man and the ball. Game management out of control is used to fix series Kings versus Lakers. Yeah, see, Rank Scrub's talking about that infamous series in 2002 between the Kings and the Lakers, where the refs straight up stole the game from the Sacramento Kings and wanted the Lakers in the finals. That was very much directed, and it was so badly done that it was very much right out in the open. And that's what I'm saying. This is the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about tomorrow. And what exactly can we trust about the NBA as far as it comes with the refs? Because this is what the crux of this whole situation is with Tim Donaghy and who's lying and who's what, and what David Stern did to try and fix this problem. We're going to go into real detail about all this and talk about this a lot, specifically this series that Rank Scrubs brought up. That this is a very important thing that happened in the NBA because it kind of pulled the veil and we saw the inner workings of it because they did such a shitty job of trying to manipulate the game, and it was right in front of us. And we saw how blatantly wrong and it was called and why they did it. It's like a really good example. Marlon's saying the midseason tournament from a fans and the NBA media is great for entertainment and financial benefits. Vice versa, but the injuries will increase unless the NBA expands team roster spots. Ooh, interesting observations for better rotation to reduce those injuries. Well, they're already trying to do this. Like we've gotten 2 extra more guys on our team now in the last couple of years. Nick Nurse said the pandemic and different things have made it so you need to have more guys around your team just to be available. And we're seeing that this year, like with guys on the perimeter of our roster, as far as like Reggie Perry, Jarrett Culver, Jalen Harris. These guys could actually be absorbed into things as far as if we need them because of injury reasons or something like that. So in some ways, we have a very deep organization. It's just that it's not all totally official in some ways. And this may be the same way other teams are doing things. Stash guys on the G League that are on your G League roster that are also capable in the NBA in certain ways, just because you need them to come in just in case. But I agree with the first part of what you're saying. This is going to be good for money for the NBA. This is going to be good for the fans. It's the kind of stuff where there's more games that matter that count for something is what it is. Instead of having 82 games that are just the regular season, well, some of those 82 games really matter because they have cash incentives. They have an extra championship in the middle of it and stuff like that. And that's really the big difference with this and stuff. Is it's like it's a long grind. So break it up right in the middle. Have something that matters in the middle of it. Let's see. Duke Rocks is saying, I remember in the early years of the Raps playoff runs, the Nets with Garnett purposely lost games at the end of the season to play the Raps first round, knowing the benefit of the doubt will go their way. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into this subject. It really is for tomorrow. But yeah, this is part of why they did the play-in. is because they wanted to avoid people trying to do this kind of stuff to get the right matchup and all this kind of stuff. There has been this historically done at the end of seasons where teams will try and guide their team into a slot, just like a plane lands like a certain way. They want to guide and land it a certain way where they land against the right opponent that they like in the first round. If they can manipulate or choose between a couple different teams, they'll try and land the plane in the right spot where they want to face who they want to. And I remember this situation that you're talking about with the Nets and us and stuff like that. And it's true that part of the reason was they knew that they could get some more favor against us with the refs. But I think this is changing, and so to agree. And I'm going to talk about why this is changing tomorrow. I don't want to give away all my content for tomorrow because I do have some interesting opinions about what you're talking about here, Duke. As far as like whether we should trust the refs, as far as like, are they trying to screw over the Raptors or not? Because I've spent a lot of time this summer thinking about the referees, looking at their stats with the Raptors and understanding exactly what's going on with the refs and whether they are fair or not. And we'll put it all together tomorrow. Nameless is saying, I'm trying to listen to this while reading my plumbing course material. Well, listen, I don't know enough plumbing terminology. I was going to say you take the flange, and if you use the L pipe to go into the flange, then maybe that's hilarious. Brain overload. Yeah, I don't know how to help you with that right now. I mean, if I knew more about plumbing, maybe I could add my own 2 cents there. Isaac Campbell saying Team Canada Banton. Yes, and FIBA is enough Canadian content for me. Honestly, I want to see these games, the game today and the final game tomorrow. I want to see Delano Banton lead Team Canada to the America Championship. Seriously. Monique saying, the good thing about bringing in Casey, thank him for the Atlantic Division Championship, regular, whatever happened to Tom Sterner. Anyone remember him and his interviews were the best. Yeah, Tom Sterner was an assistant coach for the Raptors, and he was a colorful interview. He was interesting. Like, he would show his emotions and stuff like that. He was hilarious. Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, Coach Casey was a big part of the reason. Well, Mitchell won an Atlantic Division Championship too when he was coaching with Bosch. We did win the Atlantic Division back then once, but Casey was more like getting us banners and getting us to the top of the Atlantic Division more during his time too. So yeah, I'm a fun guy saying don't forget to connect the T pipe also. Yeah, I'm just trying to help him with his studying. I don't know what he's studying exactly right now. So, all right, Casey, please, we love you. We understand how you did so much for our team and built our culture and built our winning mentality. You did it with men like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan and built something special here in Toronto that we continue to use that culture and that world in our team now. That this isn't something you built that has lasted. And then in a lot of ways, he can feel very proud about that, but also a little bit sad and sick about it also in some ways. Sure, I understand. So it's tough. It's a tough situation all around. It's just like the DeMar situation is tough. But we love you, Case. I love you specifically. Maybe some of the other people here are like, it's tough for us to love, but we respect you. And that we do understand and honor the part in our history that you have to do with it. And that this is the thing. If we know you're a casual Raptor fan if you diss Dwane Casey and DeMar DeRozan, because you weren't here for the time when they were really in the trenches with us and really trying to do all the crazy stuff that we did during the 2010s, battling LeBron in Cleveland and different playoff teams like Washington, Brooklyn, and stuff like that. So he's an important person that needed to have his own Share the Love Club. I wanted to do it way before the season, before the thick of it and all the war and stuff like that we're about to get into with them this season and stuff like that. So yeah, Nameless. Hey, listen, if I knew more about plumbing, I would supplement your studying right now, but I really don't. It's too bad. Maybe I should learn more about plumbing. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn how to plumb and I'm going to learn how to ventriloquist, and I'll have 2 new skills coming up soon. Yeah. Monique's saying the tryouts look great so far. Ooh, Monique's got an eye for a scout, and she probably can see some gems out there on the court working out already. Yeah. Nameless is saying, I can never diss Casey or DeMar ever. This is right. Seriously. This is a way that you can find out whether somebody's a real Raptor fan or not. How do they talk about Dwane Casey and how do they talk about DeMar DeRozan? And then you'll know if they've been around and they really, truly understand and honor who these men were to our franchise and stuff like that. You can suss out the casuals that way for sure. Let's see, or Lowry. And we shouldn't talk crap about Kawhi either because he delivered regardless of his personal feelings. Yeah, I love Kawhi. I don't hate Kawhi like I had problems with Bosch and Carter when they left. It was a sad decision, but he did it right in a lot of ways. And like we said recently, he may have done us a favor by moving on from the Raptors. That, hey, get the best out of it, the most out of it for 1 year, and then maybe not be disappointed and go through some bullshit afterwards where you're kind of like, well, Kawhi was good for winning a championship, but now it's kind of like he's kind of annoying because he's never playing and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. As a fan base, I'm saying, yeah, I know. It's like, hey, listen, we have all kinds of different Raptor fans from different times and when they come to us and when they started being fans and stuff like that. And part of what I'm trying to do with this Raptor Freak channel is educate newer Raptor fans about the history of the Raptors. That's why we did a Kevin Willis trivia this week. It's like so young Raptor fans can know who Kevin Willis is and learn a little bit more about different names and people from throughout our history. So this is an important Saturday Share the Love Club to really illustrate and understand why Dwane Casey was one of the best Raptor coaches ever. I say Nick Nurse is the best Raptor coach ever, but Casey is definitely second as far as the best Raptor coaches ever. Yeah. Just DeRozan get his number tire? I think him and Lowry together. I think Lowry first and then DeRozan right after him. But it will be the timing with who retires first. Like if Lowry only plays for this year and another year, then maybe we retire Lowry immediately after he retires. And then, DeRozan's younger than Lowry. So he may play a year or two after Lowry retires. And then we may see DeRozan get retired as soon as he retires also. So that's what I really expect. Is that these guys won't be retired while they're still playing. We don't want to put number 7 up in the rafters while he's on Miami Heat. We don't want to put number 10 up there while he's playing for Chicago. So we wait until these two guys retire. And because Lowry's older than DeRozan, he'll go first. And then Lowry will be up there. And then DeRozan shortly after him. And then we'll consider putting Vince up there. Even though I don't really think Vince should be up there. I think he should get a statue. Give Vince a statue just straight up. But don't give him his jersey retired is what I'm saying. Let's see. Nameless saying, I think Sam Mitchell was the coach to turn the tide in Toronto, the pioneer. He had a little blip of it. He had a taste of it. He did have some success for a little bit there, but then everything went to shit again. It's not like he sustained anything. It's kind of like he came in and propped them up. And they did pretty well with Bosch. They did some things, but there were only a couple seasons where they were really good. There were a lot of seasons where they were completely trash. And that's the thing you got to balance with Mitchell. Mitchell was about a 50% kind of like coach. Like there's a really bad seasons where he coached the Raptors, and there were a couple of really good seasons. But the thing is, he had to get fired and fail and have the team in a bad place again. So he didn't establish anything like Casey established. That's what I'm saying. Part of what we're doing right now has a lot to do with what Casey established and not Sam Mitchell. Sam Mitchell, the team got worse for a little while right before Casey came in and fixed them back up. So that's the difference, I'll say. Mitchell is probably like the third best Raptor coach, in my opinion. I mean, maybe Lenny. Actually, I got to put Lenny third and maybe Mitchell fourth and stuff like that. But yeah. Yeah, Mitchell has his important parts, and we will do a Share the Love Club for Sam Mitchell eventually, but not this year, not this summer. We'll do it maybe next summer. Let's see. Top saying the nail in the coffin, and I saw it coming, was when we had CJ Miles cover Kevin Love on 4 consecutive possessions in the playoffs. Him and DeMar DeRozan got us to a high level, and the trade got us over the top. Yeah. This is just really astute, like talent observation and like projections and thinking about the situation, really thinking about it, really smart, Masai Ujiri, and making the right changes that really benefited off the platform and the basis of what was already there. And that really was a part of it. And yeah, that's insane. CJ Miles should not have been guarding Kevin Love. There were all kinds of problems with our matchup with Cleveland in those years, that they had a lot of different advantages over us that we couldn't overcome, and different things. They had advantages where they could cover up our good advantages on our team because they had the right stuff on their defense. And then we had no answer for LeBron. We had no answer for a couple of other people on that team, like Kevin Love at that time too. So yeah, it was a bad situation. It wasn't a good matchup for us. And then partly we built our team so that we could play that team now. Like if the current Raptors were playing that Cleveland team back then, I think we would have done way better. with who we have right now than who we had at that point. Because you got to remember, we had some superstars like DeMar and Kyle, but the rest of the team was not really that good. They were a lot like our bench last year. So that's part of it, is like our talent throughout the whole team wasn't good. And it's impressive we did so well with just a couple of really good guys like DeMar and Kyle and Terrence Ross, Jonas. And then the rest of the guys were kind of like, yeah, we could upgrade for sure. Let's see. And Monique's agreeing with you, Duke. Let's see. Nameless saying Sam Mitchell laid the pipes of success for Casey and Nurse to follow. Yes and no. I can't really say that, because you have to understand at the very end of Mitchell's tenure on our team, we got blown up and we really started from scratch. That there really wasn't a lot that carried from Mitchell into Casey in some ways, like maybe DeMar a little bit. But yeah, I can't totally agree with this. That Sam Mitchell kind of was like Vince. When he left, everything was blown up and horrible, and that they really weren't part of like rebuilding and making it back up and stuff like that. Like Mitchell did blow up our team. Like he messed up our team with chemistry because he was fighting with our players. Like he challenged some of the Raptors to fight in practice. Let's just put it that way. Like he was ready to seriously punch Rafer Alston in the face and stuff like that. There was a lot of toxic, bad stuff that Mitchell was doing behind the scenes that y'all don't know about and stuff like that. Like telling the players who they could date. He was trying to tell them, oh, you can't date that woman. You can't play. I'm like, who are you? You're the coach. Why are you telling me who I can date and can't date and stuff like that? That's the kind of shit that Mitchell was doing on the download that y'all didn't know about. So I won't give him this credit, Nameless. I'm sorry. It's Casey into Nurse, but we were blown up. Like seriously, in really bad shape when Casey showed up. We were at the very bottom of things. Duke says DeRozan belongs as an all-star, all-time Raptor. He was Raps all the way, for sure. Number 10 needs to be in the Raptors. And if you look and you pay attention, no Raptor has worn number 10 since we made that deal for Kawhi. Any of the seasons since we won the championship and we traded DeMar, no one has worn number 10. And that is very much because we honor it and hold it for him. That we do not want anybody else wearing number 10, because that is DeMar's Toronto number, and that number will be retired in Toronto for him, and nobody will wear it after him. That's what we're saying, and that's already done true. Then nobody's going to wear number 7 since Kyle Lowry left. Nobody picked up number 7 right after Kyle left, and that's going to be the same for him. But you can tell nobody's worn 10 since DeMar left, and that is his number. Nameless is saying, what would Sam Mitchell have done with Masai as president? I ask. Woo-hoo! That's an interesting idea. He was a Brian Colangelo dude, once again. I don't know. I don't know what their relationship would have been like and stuff like that. Masai really does like to have his own people and have his own kind of culture and stuff like that. I don't think Sam Mitchell would have fit that culture. In some ways, the really big thing that Nick Nurse is talking about these days is energy. He's talking about giving good energy. If his assistant coaches don't give good energy to the players, or have the energy that's put as positive and good out, like if they're draining energy from the players, which is what Sam Mitchell was doing. He was a drainer of energy. The guys didn't necessarily like playing for him. A lot of them didn't like Sam Mitchell. There were a lot of underlying conflicts between him and players while he was coach of the Raptors. And that may be what I'm talking about. It's like it's the opposite of what Nick Nurse's philosophy is with his coaching staff at this point. If you're on his coaching staff and you are draining from everybody else energy or how they feel, you know those kind of people. You get around them, Debbie Downers, that make you feel worse than you did when you first pulled up and started talking to them. You leave and you're like, oh, why did I talk to them? Sam Mitchell was a little bit like that. Like he had bad energy and he was giving it to our players. And that was hindering our success at that time. So, yeah, I don't think he would have lasted under Masai Ujiri. I think that he would have fired him. He would have fired him and got rid of him, stuff like that. Let's see. I'm a fun guy saying, hey, Lexi, I always feel like Kawhi really left because he wanted that year to be his legacy. In some ways, coming back and not replicating that is worse than doing that 1 year and cementing a legacy. I love what I'm a fun guy saying here. And if anybody's going to know about Kawhi, it's I'm a fun guy. And you know what? You're right. In some ways, what he did with 1 year with us is perfect. It's perfection. It's like, why ruin that? You know, you create something and you want to just make it perfect. Well, if you add a little bit too much to it, you ruin its perfection. And this really is what he's talking about here. That 1 year, he didn't wear out his welcome. It was a perfect year. If the next year we had not repeated, it would have been a letdown and it would have tarnished his work in Toronto. in that way. And I really agree with Fun Guy on this. I think you're right that in some ways it's special in some ways. It's a special kind of year and the thing that happened with that and stuff like that. Let's see. Rank Scrub saying, I dislike that Kawhi treated his time in Toronto as a cute, fun experience when it would have been cool if he was thinking championship from the moment he was traded. I don't know how he really thinks about Toronto and stuff like that. In some ways, I feel like he was just a passenger in a car who got in the car and happened to be one of the best drivers. But he was really kind of not really having to do a whole lot of he did what he had to do in his role, but everything else was taken care of as far as we had that coach. We had Kyle Lowry. We had Masai Ujiri. We had Marc Gasol. We had Serge Ibaka. We had Pascal. We had different people around him to really help carry him to being that level. And that, like we've said many, many times, as much as we needed Kawhi to win that championship that year, he needed us. And we were in the right place at the right time for him to just kind of slide in to the bus and ride the bus with us that one year and get to the promised land. So, yeah, I don't know how he describes this thing. It's really weird that you see the way he bookended his experience with Toronto, his laughing press conference where I'm a fun guy. And then at the end of it, he's laughing on stage when we won the championship. He's saying, we'll see what happens next. It's like his laugh. It's like he sounds like Count Von Count a little bit from the Sesame Street, like the way he laughs. It's like that really is kind of like, did he take this seriously? And he just like messed around and won a championship? I don't know. I don't know. And we may never know, honestly, because he's such a private person and a weird dude. But I love him for it anyway. I think he's cool. And like I said, I'm rooting for the Clippers this year if he's healthy and they're going to make some noise. That is my Western team. I'll get right behind Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell making some noise out in the Western Conference this year for sure. Oh, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll never know. It's because Kawhi is Kawhi. He's the enigma that he is. Duke's saying, I think under Masai, the Raps are second or third winningest team. Yeah, I mean, we looked at this stat this week, talking about in the last 10 years, the most winningest teams are like the Spurs, the Clippers, the Warriors, and the Raptors. Those are the top 4 teams for having the most wins over the last 10 years. And yeah, we're not 4th. We're actually 3rd in that list. So you're right, Duke. You're exactly right. Lolita's saying, we always say once a Raptor, always a Raptor, but we will always go for the win. Deal with it. Winning is the truth for the Raptors. Hey, we have cousins and brothers and people that we love that were with our team on other teams like Terrence Ross in Orlando playing video games with Scotty Barnes on the 2K on the YouTube. Go check out Terrence Ross's YouTube channel today. They had the whole game between him and Scotty and all the shit talking and all the fun and the close ending and stuff like that. That's great Raptor Freak watching for today. So check out Terrence Ross, his channel and that stuff. But yeah, we love our former guys and it's tough. We see DeMar, we see Kyle, we see Jonas, we see Terrence Ross, we see Kawhi, we see Norman. And, they're our brothers. There are people that we're on our team we care a lot about, but they are the enemy when we play them. We want to beat them. We want to beat them. That's right. Don't get it twisted. That's always how it is that's right. Lolita is exactly right. Monique is saying Butch Carter dead last for me on the list. No, actually, if I had to rank, Darryl Walker's dead last on the list because he was an absolute failure. Brendan Malone did a good job in the first season because he did get some wins. Like he won that one game against Chicago, that famous game where Damon Stoudemire and them rose up against the Bulls and Michael Jordan in their very, very good season and stuff like that. But Darryl Walker in the second season of the Raptors was horrible. We had a horrible record. Butch Carter did get us to the playoffs, and he did do a little bit. He didn't win in the playoffs, but he did get us to the playoffs the first time. He was the very first coach of the Raptors that got the Raptors in the playoffs. So I don't know. All right, if I'm really ranking them, it's like Nurse, Casey, Lenny, Sam Mitchell, and then I might put Butch Carter as 6th. Seriously, because he did get us the playoffs and he was somewhat successful as a coach. He had his limitations, but I'd say he's 6th. And then you get into the really bad ones, like maybe Jay Triano is next, and then Brendan Malone, and then you got to go like Kevin O'Neal and Darryl Walker is kind of like, I think, and that's all of them, I think. So that's the way. Darryl Walker was the worst coach we've ever had as a Raptors. Yeah, Darryl Walker is for sure. Because he was basically just hired because he was Isaiah's friend, and he wasn't a good coach. He had no experience, and he really was bad. He was really bad. He didn't even last the season, I don't think. So, Let's see. Nameless saying, I didn't know that about Mitchell. Yeah, there was a lot of underlying toxic stuff going on with our team with Sam Mitchell as a coach. Like you can see his personality on TSN when he's interacting with Kate and Leo and all those guys. He has a little bit of a arrogance and like a bravado to him that was involved in when he was being a coach too. Like he's smart and he's really good with the coaching stuff, but his personality takes away from his coaching also. Let's just put it that way. And he was a little bit too much in their business and stuff. Like, yeah, he wanted to fight one of the players, and he was also telling them who they could date and stuff like that. Monique's saying, "Were you guys a fan of the Pound the Rock slogan?" Yeah, yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was a neat thing that he did. I thought it was hilarious that they went up north and found this rock and hauled it all the way down to the arena, and they had to get it into the door and get it set and put there. And then, like, think about it this way: it's like kind of like it's like, okay, they fired me. Well, you got to deal with your own damn rock. Is probably what Casey said. He's like, yeah, but well, I'm not taking the rock. Well, you brought it here, Casey. What are you got to take it? He's like, no, you fired me. I'm the coach of the year. I don't have to do jack shit. I'm going to Detroit. You can have that rock. You just keep it here. So they had to pull the rock out after he left, or leave it there as a reminder of him being here or something. I don't know. I thought it was cool. It was very symbolic, and I liked what he did. He told them you all have to touch it when you come in and out of the locker room, and it reminds you that this is a grind, that you have to pound the rock continuously, and then someday it'll break, and you will finally break through to where you want to be and stuff like that. Skater Dylan's here. Good morning, Lex and the gang. Good morning, Skater Dylan, Boston Celtics fan up in the Hampshire, and the Hampshire. Yes. Good to see you, Dylan. Always good to see you. Top saying Kyle Lowry is the only statue I would give, only statue you would have. Okay, maybe DeRozan, but Kyle never quit on the city. Masai would get a statue. Ooh, that's something to consider. You know, Ted Rogers is going to be outside the Rogers Center. He doesn't really deserve it. Why don't we put Masai Ujiri outside of the arena? I think you're right, man. There has to be a Masai Ujiri statue at some point. Where it will be, I do not know. Maybe it'll be at the OVO Center. Maybe it'll be somewhere else. I don't know. But yeah, I think you're right. Kyle could be the guy who gets the statue. I'm just thinking that in some ways Vince is a good person for it because he has such crazy, amazing poses from his dunks and the different things that he did, that our statue could be similar to the one that's outside the United Center in Chicago of Michael Jordan. That it's just really like an iconic kind of statue that it shows that important part of our history. And in some ways, I do feel like we need to honor Vince in some ways. And I think that the most important way is to honor his dunking and honor like that effect that he had for Canada in Toronto. And that maybe the jersey is not the right idea just because he wore so many jerseys on so many other teams, so many different numbers, that may not have as much meaning to retire 15 in Toronto. That it may have more, be more important and put him more. And think about the beauty of that statue and what it could look like. Like I'd be all about having one Raptor statue over at the Base Street side of the building near the tunnel and where the employee entrance and the VIP entrance is. You guys know where I'm talking about. If you go to the arena, you know where I'm talking about. Bay Street on the northeast corner of the Scotiabank Arena. Put one of the statues there and then put another one on the other side near the cross pillars over there. And we'll have Raptor statues on both sides of the building. And then the Leafs can have their little hockey row with all their great time Leafs over there and stuff like that. You know, stuff like that. That's kind of how I look at it. Let's see. I kind of agree with Top though. Kyle does deserve a statue. Canadian Cowboy saying, I cleaned CJ Miles' windows at his condo when he was there. He was a great guy. This is the kind of insider stuff you get on the Raptor Freak channel from Tada. Canadian Cowboy running Tada. He went and cleaned his windows. Tada's a great service. Y'all look him up in the phone book or wherever on the internet. And if you need your windows cleaned, like CJ Miles did that one day, they will come to your house and clean your windows. And he said he was there and he was a cool dude. CJ Miles always did seem like a cool dude. In fact, we saw him this last season at the New Orleans game. I think he was at the New Orleans game we were playing. He was sitting on the sideline, and he was really still very much a part of Raptor Raptors Nation. He was palling around with some of our Raptors. They came over and talking to him, and we're very happy to see him because he was on our bench mob when we had that bench mob going on. CJ was one of the members of the famous bench mob, and he is a Raptor in good standing. He's not in the league anymore. He's kind of a weird place because he could actually probably still play, and he may be in the big three or something like that at this point. That he's not in the NBA, but he could be playing in like the big three, that league instead. But yeah, he seemed like a cool dude. He had that GoDaddy curse for a little while there. He was in the GoDaddy commercial, and I'm like, oh, don't do the GoDaddy commercial because that's never good for a player. And they got Muggsy to do it the one year just so nobody had it. Oh, I said the bad word. But in this relation, this is actually a situation that actually is true. That there was something like with those commercials and stuff like that. But I don't think we have him as a sponsor anymore, which is good. Probably really, really good. Skater Dylan, hang on. Nameless saying, how you feel about SGA in Toronto? I think he may cost a little too much. I went off on this already. I'm sick of this shit. Can we just stop? Like, whoever's talking about SGA in Toronto right now, just shut up. I'm sick of it. We got the right guys. This is just makes us look bad and thirsty. There's no real trade talk with this. There's no real anything to this. And he doesn't fit our team right now. Maybe eventually he'll be on the Raptors and stuff like that. But I'm not dealing with this right now. Whether it's SGA or RJ Barrett or whoever the fuck they're talking about, just because they're Canadian and stuff like that. And some fans want him to be on our team. Why would they be on our team right now? We've got the right construction. We don't need SGA. So just stop, please. It's the same thing with Jordan Clarkson this week. I'm just sick of it. We're done. Any of these Raptor fans who feel like we need, or they're desperate because they see a Donovan Mitchell move, they see a Montrezl Harrell move. Oh no, the Raptors aren't doing anything. Just shut up. The Raptors are doing things. They're all at Rico Hines working together and getting that chemistry up. Why do we want to shake up our team by bringing in a huge superstar and dealing a bunch of guys that we've already just built up in our chemistry? So I'm sick of this talk. SGA would be a great Raptor. I'd love to have him on the team, but this isn't the time for this. This is something that we should talk next time his contract's up, because I'm just sick of it. It's not like Masai's trying to trade for him. No, he's not. They're not trying to trade for him. I don't care what anybody's saying. The Raptors are not involved in trade talks at this point. And that if anybody's talking about getting players right now, it's all made up in their head. And they're trying to push an agenda themselves. And I think it's stupid. Honestly, I think it's a waste of time. Because it's not realistic to get SGA on our team right now. It's just bullshit. It's just bullshit and hot air is what I'll say. Skater Dylan saying, where is Chris Bosh in your all-time Raptors ranking? I'll go look at it again. I think he's like 11th or 12th. Honestly, I'm serious. And that may seem like that's really low. But yeah, that's where I put him. Because honestly, he had both success and failure as a Raptor. He had a lot of failure when he was on the Raptors. I have him at 12th. Yeah, 12th, right behind Serge Ibaka. I think Serge Ibaka is a more important Raptor than Chris Bosh. I think Jonas Valanciunas is more important Raptor than Chris Bosh. I think Alvin Williams is more important Raptor than Chris Bosh. And, stuff like that. That's just how it is. I mean, I just, reading Doug Smith's book again recently, he doesn't even have a chapter in his book. He has chapters for all the important Raptors like Damon Stoudemire, Vince Carter, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, but he didn't make a chapter for Chris Bosh. And that just says something right there, that it's a forgettable era of the Raptors, a failed era of the Raptors. Sure, Chris had nice individual accolades. He worked really hard for us. He was the face of the franchise and all this kind of stuff. But in other ways, I just discount it all because all of his real success came in Miami. And he's a part of Miami Heat Nation now. And seriously, I did my greatest Raptor of all time rankings report, and he is number 12. He is right in front of Terrence Ross and behind Serge Ibaka. And that's where I've got him. I'm sorry. Serge got a championship on our team. Serge did a lot of the same kind of similar things. I mean, he didn't get all the All-Stars, but I'm not ranking this on who was the best player. I'm not ranking on who is the most OP important player. I'm ranking this who is the greatest Raptor. And who is great. Greatness has to do with winning, has to do with championships, has to do with not screwing the team over and leaving them to go to Miami and join LeBron and stuff like that. So, yeah, I got him number 12. There you go. Number 12, not even in the top 10. Nameless saying, you all have to touch it. Yeah, The Rock. You have to touch it. You have to touch it on the way in and on the way out. And if you don't, we can tell. We got cameras on it. That's funny. Skater Dylan saying, Top of Top puts Kyle Lowry over VC having a statue. Yeah, and I do too. I do too in some ways. I really do. But I think that honoring Kyle might be enough, just giving him the jersey retirement. In fact, that may be more powerful than just getting a statue. I'm not gonna lie, seriously. In some ways, Kyle could get both, and I'd be happy because that would make him even more special and cemented in as the greatest Raptor of all time. He's number one on my greatest Raptors of all list, Kyle Lowry. It's not Vince Carter. It's not Kawhi Leonard. It's Kyle Lowry. And that's why I think he deserves a statue too. But I don't think he should get one just in case, just necessarily because we'll retire his jersey. In fact, I think he said that himself, that he doesn't need both of those to happen. He just wants one of them to happen, and he'll get one of them for sure. He's already got a road named after him, so why not? Nameless saying, I think statues should be reserved for players, not executives personally. Well, I agree with that to an extent, but this is the kind of impact that Masai Ujiri has had on our team and on the city, that it is like very much somebody like I think he should get in a statue, seriously, because he's such an important reason why the Raptors are so good at this point. That we didn't have Masai Ujiri, this wouldn't be happening. We wouldn't have this kind of stability throughout our organization. So I want to honor him. I'm all about getting him a statue. Maybe just not in a very heavy footpath. I'd like to see the statue be at OVO, because then at OVO, and it could even be inside OVO, because then it's not totally for the public. It's for players that come to that arena, the practice facility, and see, okay, this is Masai. He built this, and we need to honor the tradition of him and what he wanted for this team. And see it, even if he, someday, years and years, decades down the road, Masai's not with the team for whatever reason, his presence should be known and still be around just by that. That's the only reason why I'd say that. So, but I understand we can have a different opinion on that and stuff like that. I understand. I don't think Ted Rogers should be out there in front of the Blue Jays arena. I think that's silly. Like, seriously, why do we want to honor a guy who just like grifted us all for money from being a cable guy for years and years and stuff like that? What did he do? What is all the stuff that he did? I mean, I know he was a humanitarian. He did a lot of nice things and charity and stuff like that. And he's nothing like some of his children. He's a good man. But still, it's like you said, this is where I get into kind of things. But he's an owner. It's not really kind of the same as being like a GM. GM's different than being an owner as far as executives and stuff like that. Let's see, Scotty Bank Arena. That's right, Scotty Bank Arena. It's really, he's gonna. That is his building. And it's Lord Barnes. It was like, listen, we are just serfs in your kingdom, and we will do your bidding, Lord Barnes, and what you want, stuff like that. Yeah, Scotty Bank Arena, love it. Duke Rocks is saying Bosch is Hall of Famer, but I wouldn't put him in the Raptors Hall of Fame. I don't like how he left the Raptors. Bosch and McGrady both don't belong, in my opinion. This is true. I mean, Bosch does in some ways, but McGrady definitely doesn't. Because McGrady didn't really accomplish anything here. It was just really his beginning, his rookie like orientation to the league, a little bit of different things here, but really everything he did in his career was great. It was started in Orlando and went into Houston and the different things that he did after. But with Toronto, he's not a great Raptor. He's not one of our best Raptors. He was a Raptor. Yeah, he was a draft pick. But Bosch is different, though, because he was a great Raptor. He did have all-star years. He did lead our team, and he was very high on our career stats for different categories and different places. He was the career leader in a couple of things before DeMar and Kyle came and took those records from him for our franchise. So it's a little bit different. But I would say that you're right, that he's a Hall of Famer. He already is in the Hall of Fame, Chris Bosh. And so is Tracy. Tracy's in the Hall of Fame also, but they're not in the Hall of Fame because of what they did in Toronto in some ways. Now, Chris in some ways is a little bit because they were important all-stars that he got here in Toronto. And he did carry our team for a few years, even though we were losing a lot of those seasons that he was carrying our team and stuff like that. So, yeah, they're not really Raptors greats in some ways. Like you can say Chris Bosh is kind of a Raptor great, but McGrady isn't. And Bosh, I don't know. I have a hard time really judging Bosch's work with the Raptors fairly because there's different things that taint my judgment. And what you're saying, how he left, really is one of the big reasons that taints it and stuff like that. So Isaac saying, a true Raptors freak with your knowledge of coaching history. We've been fortunate to have some good ones as of late, but I cannot remember all the past coaches like that. Yeah, I mean, I've looked at them recently, and I've like, listen, the Doug Smith book's a fantastic book, We the North, and he has like a coaching chapter where he talks about each one of the coaches and how they were good in different ways and stuff. Like Kevin O'Neill was a disaster; he was absolutely horrible. Jay Triano had some success, and he was Canadian. He was the first ever Canadian head coach in the NBA, and that's history right there. Now we got Steve Nash coaching as a Canadian also, but that was a big deal at that time. And Jay was coaching Chris Bosh era, and he did pretty well. He had some success. So that's why he's a little bit above guys like Kevin O'Neill and Darrell Walker, who were absolutely horrible. Both of them were absolute fails as coaches for the Raptors. Yeah. Let's see. Cowboys saying, stop the trade talk. We got everyone we need in a bag of chips. Yeah. Monique's doubling down on that. We are good as is. I'm all for all this stuff. And I don't fault any of you guys bringing it in and talking about it. We need to talk about it, especially if the news is out there. But this is where I stand with this. It's like, come on. The whole off season is pretty much over. We know what we got going into training camp, and we just got to see how this all shapes up with who's going to be on a roster and stuff like that. Yeah. Isaac saying, get SGA on Team Canada. That's what I'm talking about. Well, he is on Team Canada. And that's part of the reason why this is intensifying, this whole SGA to Toronto talk that's been happening the last couple of days. I'm sick of it. I'm serious. Like, we look bad when we thirst after another team's player like this. This is the same damn thing people are doing to Scotty Barnes right now. Let's just quit this shit. It's beneath us. We are very happy with our team and what we got. We are not people that have not. We are have. We have. And so we don't need to act like we need somebody to come in and save us. Like SGA is going to come in and do that. I'm not about that. We are very good and confident with who we are. And Raptor fans that are still grasping at straws, trying to get some new bigger move or something like that, just stop, please. Just stop. Seriously. You could really mess up chemistry on our team by bringing in a big player like this and stuff like that. And I don't think SGA is the right fit for our team that we have right now and what we're trying to do. He may fit our team in like 2 years from now, but not right now. He doesn't. He just does not fit. And I don't want to pay the price that would go in the other way if we were trying to get him. Nameless saying, I know that Masai was desperately trying to draft him. Well, that may be the case and stuff like that. But you wait and pick and choose your opportunities, just like Giannis, just like Precious. He wanted Precious for a while. Well, he got his opportunity to pounce on it and get Precious. And he made it happen. Well, Giannis, it didn't happen. And you have to be willing to wait for that door to open and close the way it is. And right now, the door is wide closed, like not wide closed, is slammed shut. There's no real evidence of this other than, all right, look, SGA was upset with the Thunder for not allowing him to go down to Panama and play in that game for Team Canada. This is true. That maybe he is upset with the Thunder. He doesn't like playing for a team that always is in the lottery, it gets nowhere. And he sees that he's in his young prime of his career, and then he wants to get somewhere with somebody who's not spinning their wheels. And Oklahoma City Thunder is that kind of team that spins their wheels, and they will continue to. And especially with Chet getting hurt, this has made it this season already a wash that they don't expect to win this year. So SGA probably is being like, what am I doing here? And stuff like that. But also, he seems like the kind of guy that would honor his contract and just work it out and stuff like that. He's not demanding a trade on the down low or anything like that, but he may be unhappy with being there. So I don't know. Like I said, this is stuff that is really, we're ahead of it. There's no reason to talk about it right now. We can get these Canadian guys down the road, sure, but not right now. This isn't the time for it. Maybe we should have been talking about this in June or something like that, but not right now. It's not the time. We're in September. Training camp's about to start, and I don't want to shake the team up in any kind of way. Nameless saying, green fish and ham. I love that name. This is like Dr. Seuss. I do. Sam, I am. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Coach Casey and Pound the Rock era with Kyle DeMar duo is the foundation of the modern Raptors culture. Preach the truth, green fish and ham. Preach the truth. This is so honestly true. And yes, we need to honor this and realize the history and why we got built up, that these three gentlemen were a big part of propping us up and making us a legitimate team in the NBA. Dwane Casey, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Pound the Rock, baby. Yeah. Good first comment, Green Fish and Ham. And I hope you hit the subscribe button and join us on the regular. Every single day we're here talking Raptors, live streaming, and I read every single comment. So your voice will be heard. If you are here, you will get heard, and we will talk about what you have to say. Nameless is saying, so if the Leafs win a cup, you'd be willing to get a statue of Brendan Shanahan too? Is that what you're implying? No. Well, first of all, I'm not qualified to know exactly what Shanahan has done. Although on the outside surface, I understand that he has been mixed. Like, he hasn't had good results. Have the Leafs won the Stanley Cup since he's been there? No. But you know what? People in the Leaf Nation might really seriously consider this, just because it's been so long, and that if he is a direct person that you can say, this is a really, if there's one person we can say had a huge impact on us bringing the Stanley Cup back to Toronto, then maybe, yeah. But you know what? I don't think he's a good example for this. Like, maybe you look at the Blue Jays and talk about Pat Gillick. Now, Pat Gillick has had his number retired or put on the Wall of Fame in the outfield in the Blue Jays and stuff like that. And maybe it's something like that. But Masai's different, man. You've got to understand. Masai Ujiri wasn't just a GM. He's a political figure. He's a person who has brought a culture and changed Canada in a lot of ways. Like, basketball is way more important in this country and is sustaining it partly because of Masai Ujiri. He's the architect. He's the mastermind. He's the figurehead of this ship that we're riding in as Raptors Nation. That he's the captain of the boat, and that he really clearly is that. And that's why he should be honored. I told you, when I met Masai in person in 2013 or 14, I think it was 14, I came up to him and I said, thank you for saving my team and making us a legitimate team. And I shook his hand. I thanked him for bringing us into relevance and making us a good NBA team. That's all I had to say to him. And I really do specifically give him a huge amount of credit for what's happened with us and continues to happen with us, stuff like that. So it's a different thing. I don't think Shanahan's had anywhere near the same kind of success that Masai has. So it's not easy to compare those two and stuff like that. Although, listen, if somebody does that for the Leafs and gets them another cup, people are going to want to do that for them because they want that so bad, so bad. Cowboys saying Scotty needs a statue already. He's going to be the best Raptor of all time. I hope so. I really hope so. We're going to have to see what Scotty does. It's exciting in some ways. I really do hope everything works out for him in the end in every kind of successful way. As far as him, yeah, he could be the greatest Raptor of all time. We don't know. But we got to give him some time to get the accolades, hopefully win a bunch of championships. And then it'll be real easy to say and stuff like that. But it's getting a little ahead for Scotty too. Nameless saying, I think Scotty Barnes could be the biggest celebrity to ever play in Toronto. No cap. Any sport. Yeah. I mean, listen, in some ways he's better than Vince. Like, Vince was very attractive with his highlights and his dunking and stuff, but Vince didn't have totally the right personality to connect to the kids and do different things. He was kind of boring and kind of like, you see interviews with him. This guy is different. He's got a different kind of vibe to him and a different kind of friendliness and a different kind of feeling to him that could make him even larger than the game. This is kind of what I was hinting at this time last year. Scotty has Magic Johnson vibes, that he's a very personable, outgoing, attractive young man that is going to be like Magic was, that they could make him really a big spokesperson for the league, a face of the league overall. And this could be part of why he blows up, because like I said, they wanted him to be in Orlando because it's easier for them to market him in the US when he's on a US team. Now he's in Canada. This is a problem for them because they have one of their best marketable stars in Canada in some ways. And they were going to probably have to market him down there anyway, like they did Vince. So this is good for our team in a lot of ways. That if Scotty is like cross-border, like appealing, he'll become big on the U.S. side also. And that may bring us out of being in the shadows of the U.S. media and more legitimize us because of that and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be really interesting. And I think you're right. He could be the biggest celebrity or the biggest sports figure in all of sports history for Toronto ever. This could really happen. This is for real. For real. Yeah. When has Toronto ever had a player that was the face of the league in any sport? Oh, wait. Yeah, I mean, you could say Vince at that time. He really was the flavor of the year, the time. He was really like the most popular player. He won the All-Star game votes the couple of years there where he had absolutely the most votes. So yeah, I mean, Vince at that time, kind of, but Jordan was still playing. They had Iverson around. Shaq was around. It's like I don't know. We're gonna have to see what level Scotty gets to, and we'll have to look at that. Nameless saying Scotty Barnes or Vlad Guerrero Jr. Pick one. Well, that's the good thing. The Toronto sports teams each have like really young, attractive stars, whether it's Austin Matthews, Vlad Guerrero, Scotty Barnes. These are different players that, you can really market and push, and people are into them and stuff like that. I think Scotty is the most popular of the three of them, and that he will more and more become even more popular, especially with the Twitch stuff he's doing. Like he has a connection to us like where you feel connected to him, then there's more love and more interest, and like fans are like, wow, he's just like us. He likes to play 2K, and he's on here talking like us and stuff like that. That really helps. The accessibility and just how down to earth and like just like a normal guy he is, stuff like that. So let's see. Paul B saying, "Shake it, don't be a prude." I'm not sure what that's in relation to. Sometimes I'm just like, Paul, you got to give me more context than that. That's, it could be you wrote that at some point when I was talking, and now it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Nameless is saying, I agree, Cowboy, even more than Guerrero, I believe, man. Yeah, Guerrero is really popular. Like my nephew who loves baseball really likes Vlad Guerrero Jr. He thinks he's a very good hitter and stuff like that. And maybe just which sport you're into and stuff. Like baseball people are going to know who Vlad is. Hockey people are going to know Austin Matthews. Basketball people are going to know Scotty Barnes, but it may be more and more mainstream that people know Scotty Barnes like they knew Vince Carter or Michael Jordan and stuff like that. So Nameless saying Leafs Nation would definitely consider if this happened. We can't allow that. I want the Leafs to win. I do. I do want them to win. I'm not a hater in that way. I know that it would maybe be a bit of dimming our spotlight and stuff like that. But the Leafs Nation needs a little bit of a bone or something like that thrown to them. Monique saying in Masai we trust. Of course. That is our first tenement. In Masai we trust. Trust in Bobby. Trust in Fred VanVleet. Go Big Four. We got all our tenements of the Raptor Free cult, the chanting of in our hoods and the golden orb. Yes, we are the golden Larry O'Brien orb. Yeah. Nameless saying Vince was one dimensional, man. In some ways, he really was. Like I've described him as being the sizzle and not the steak. Well, Scotty Barnes is the steak. Like that is real substantial, fundamental like stuff. And Carter really was a sizzle. It was a show. It was like, I can do all these crazy athletic things and stuff like that. But did he ever win? No, he did not. He did not ever win in his 22-year career in the NBA. He never won, ever. Never won. Let's see. Cowboys saying Toronto ain't a hockey town. It's Rap City. Yeah, it's becoming more of a basketball city. Seriously, I'm with you on this. It's really kind of they're different places now in some ways. It's like hockey people are always going to believe Leaf Nation owns Toronto, but Raptors fans kind of know on the down low that we're kind of a little bit stronger in some ways, and that it's kind of like how it is in the whole entire world in demography. You have more and more varied people from all kinds of backgrounds that are younger, and that there's older people that are maybe dying off and stuff like that. I don't know how much Leaf Nation gets replenished with new fans. How attractive is it to get into the Leafs at this point? As far as like Leaf fans are diehard and they've been there forever. They're masochists. They've been going through all this over and over again. How attractive is it for young people to get into the Leafs like it is to the Raptors? And if you look at it that from a demographic perspective, which is what my knowledge and studies in grad school at Florida State was, demography, that their fan base may be dying off. And meanwhile, ours is being more reinvigorated with a lower age group at the bottom of that age structure pyramid and stuff like that. So it's very interesting, stuff like that in that kind of way. And a lot of it has to do with the diversity of our fan nation. That our fan nation is way more diverse, and there are more young people coming into it than maybe possibly Leaf Nation. And that it may be that we outnumber them in some ways. Stuff like that. So Paul B saying, I'm replying to you like we're having a conversation. It's too bad you're usually on a 20-minute delay by the time you get to the comment. That's what it is, Paul. It really is like that. I don't know. You guys, I know that you're one of the people that usually watches me later, and that you're more recently been in the live chat and stuff like that. That's just an adjustment that sometimes people have to make. Like Monique will come in and add something to something I talked about 20 minutes ago, but I usually understand what it is. And yeah, that is what it is right there. What is it that you were saying about shaking or something like that? I'm not sure. I forgot. I moved on. Nameless is saying Scotty Barnes is better than Vlad and Austin at their respective sports, is what I'm saying. Mind blown. Yeah, I think not necessarily yet, but because Guerrero really, oh, come on. But I think you're right. I think down the road, this will be the case. But it's just Scotty's only had 1 year, and like he's just scratching the surface. There's so much potential and so much crazy stuff that's going to happen with Scotty. I'm telling you right now, the man's 3 inches taller now, and this year's going to be different. He's going to have a lot more big muscle and different things. He's going to be a bully. He's going to be a bully. He's going to go in there and he's going to bully little babies that are on his back and score all over them. That's what he's going to do this year. Isaac saying, we haven't said the name Pascal Siakam on the stream today. I just wanted to give respect to this year's MVP. I love that. I love that, Isaac Campbell. I might have said Pascal once today. I don't know what reference to. But yeah, we should give love and support and respect to Pascal Siakam, the best Raptor player on our team right now. And he could continue to be that guy still, but we'll have to see if our young stars come up and challenge him for that title. But yeah, Pascal's the best. I love Pascal so much. And I'm glad that he's had a good time in Europe recently. Maybe he's going to be showing up here in Toronto soon, just like Fred did in the last day or so. We'll see Pascal back in the T-Dot and getting ready for training camp, because these guys are going to come here and rendezvous before they all go out to BC and get that training camp work out in Tom Duke land and Shane Waters land in the BC area, Victoria, where they're going to do training camp this year and stuff like that. So, but they got to come here and get collected first. Yeah. Let's see. Cowboys saying, let's go Raptors Nation. Have a great day, everyone. Have a good weekend. See you next time, Lex. Thank you, Cowboy. Ta-da for all your carpet cleaning and window cleaning and paint and remodeling needs. Ta-da. The brothers Ta-da. Look them up. They'll help you out, Toronto, if you have any of that kind of jobs that you need. Monique saying, how are you celebrating 1 year on YouTube? Oh, this is a good question. I think it's Tuesday will be my 1 year anniversary of doing a stream every single day, 365 streams over the last year. It's going to be Tuesday. It's going to be my 1 year anniversary, guys. I don't think I'm really going to celebrate it. I'll note it and we'll talk about it on trivia day, but it's not going to be anything that's going to be a big deal or anything like that. We've done this. We've had 1 year. We did kind of celebrate the 300th stream that I did a couple months ago. There's going to be many milestones, especially if I keep plodding on like this, no matter what. I'll be at 500 soon enough. I'll be at 1,000 soon enough. Look out, man. I'm going to be going for those digits like 10,000. Yeah. I want to be like Robert Parrish. I want to be like Caldwell Jones. I want to be like Vince Carter, Kevin Willis. I'm going to be here to last. So let's start talking about when I get to my 10,000th stream or something like that, years from now. So, yeah, we're going to keep going, Mo. But, yeah, officially 1 year, Tuesday, guys, 3 days from now. I'll be doing this for a whole year straight, at least a little bit of content every single day. So it's awesome. I appreciate y'all being here with me and being along with me for this, stuff like that. But we'll make a note of it, but I won't make a big deal of it. It's not like we're going to have a party or anything. We'll just say 1 year, guys. Paul B saying the roster, don't be afraid of upgrades. If Masai does it, it's meant to be. If fans want it, let them have fun. Doesn't change anything. I know, Paul. I understand what you're saying with this stuff like that. Masai doesn't run the franchise by tweets. The man said no to KD. Enough said. All right, listen. I am not afraid of upgrades. I think that, and this is part of my argument this last month or so with fans who really want us to make another big trade still, is that classically in the NBA, teams grew from within. Like the Bulls didn't go and trade Scottie Pippen to go get other guys. The Bulls didn't go and trade, certain guys. They kept them within because they like to keep the core together and allow them to grow together. One of the reasons why the Knicks are one of the worst teams in the league is they've never had the patience to allow a core to grow together. They have guys together, and maybe they'll play together for like 1 or 2 years, but they switch them around so much they can't get a collective that really builds time accrued together, like something like CJ McCollum and Dame Lillard had for years until recently. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes teams get better not by upgrading the parts suddenly, by just, oh, we get a big gun and just put them in like Donovan Mitchell. That's a folly way to build your team in some ways because it's very risky. We've seen teams get big names like the Nets, and it's been a complete failure. So, a more surefire way to build towards success is go with known quantities that you already have involved and develop them further within and together. That's what I'm saying. I'm sick of all this trade talk. We're not a trade team. Bobby Webster does not like trading people. He's very much not pulling the trigger left and right. I'm sure he could have pulled way more triggers in his time as the GM of the Raptors, but he has been very smart about it. And we don't want to be like these other teams that pull the trigger and get nowhere. That's part of the reason why we have something built up, is because we don't do this. So that's what I'm saying. It's not our personality as a team and stuff like that. And you can say the fans are just doing it and it's fun, but it's stupid shit. I hate that kind of content. I don't watch any of these channels that do trade content all the time because I think it's a waste of time. It's like what it could have, should have. I've said is fan fiction. They can talk about SGA being on our team all they want in the next couple of days. Who cares? There's probably no basis of reality in this. I really don't think Masai is talking to Oklahoma City right now about getting SGA. Because first of all, SGA doesn't even fit what we're trying to do right now. He really doesn't. It just doesn't make any sense to me in all kinds of ways. So it's fine and it's fun. But like I said also earlier, Thunder fan thinks we're a joke, that we're idiots for thirsting after their guy so much. So I'm like, come on, guys, have a little bit more respect and like, not respect, what is it? Like self-esteem in yourself and stop throwing yourself at people. It's like not necessary right now. We're very happy with the team that we have. And if some Raptor fans are out there lusting after Donovan Mitchell or SGA or RJ Barrett, just stop. Just stop. Be very happy with what we have and forget about all that stuff. This isn't even the season to do this. You could have done this a month or 2 months ago, and I would have been like, okay, but now's not the time. Things are more solidified about the rosters and what's going on right now. The big moves have happened. This isn't trade time right now. This is getting ready for training camp time. And any of the fans that are doing this, they're just a distraction. Maybe it's clickbait. Maybe it's just bullshit. That's what I'm saying. And go ahead, have fun, but I won't be looking at it. I don't want to pay attention to it. It's stupid. And that's where I'm at with it and stuff like that. So, but as far as the thing with KD's hilarious, man. Go look at his Twitter the last couple of days. There's a lot of funny stuff Kevin Durant's been saying to the fans right now. And it's Nets fans he's fighting with on Twitter right now. It's hilarious. Nameless saying, okay, I agree. Because Matthews is in second best player in the league, but future tense Scotty all day. Yeah. I don't know enough about hockey right now to say where Austin Matthews is in relation to being the best player in the league or anything like that. I know that he's our figurehead, like Leaf right now, and the one that everybody kind of puts as the leader and the main best guy. Stuff like that. That's about all I know. Duke Rock's saying, I wouldn't say Leafs Nation is dying off, but it's in hibernation. I like that. He said hibernation, made it a little pun. No, you did, Duke. It's cool. Jokes aside, if the Leafs won the cup, the city would go nuts. Yeah, I'm not a Leaf hater. I'm just talking about like the demographics of it. It's purely as a social scientist from a real learned background in demographics. If you look at the pyramid, the age pyramid of Raptor fans and Leaf fans, you're going to have a much higher base up in the air, like with people in their 60s, their 70s, their 50s, their 40s. And you won't have as many people in their teens, in their 20s, as maybe you do on Raptors fan base pyramid. Like, and it may be very opposite, inverted. You may have an upside down pyramid in the Leafs age pyramid for their structure of their fan base. And you may have a very like right side up pyramid with a very strong bottom base with more young fans in the younger ages and then not as many older fans of the Raptors. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that they're dying off, and there'll always be good support for the Leafs Nation because it is carried on. Parents give their fandom of the Leafs to their children, and it does come up that way. But what I'm trying to say is that there may be a bigger base for the Raptors in those younger ages than with the Leafs right now. And it may be accessibility to the sport. It may be, gatekeeping in some ways. Like in some ways, there's people that are white that gatekeep the hockey away from people of color. And that's just the truth of the situation in some ways. So it's a lot. There's a lot of different things involved in it. I shouldn't say that they're dying off, but I should say that their age pyramid is probably older in the way it's structured. It's kind of like Europe. A European country has a lot of old people, but not as many people being born into their population. So sometimes their age pyramid is very top heavy and kind of skews down because there's not as many young people. There's so many old people in some of these European countries. And that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like the Leafs Nation may mirror those kind of countries, whereas say the Raptors may mirror another country where there's a lot of babies being born and there's a lot of population in younger ages and not as many older people at the top. So there's a little bit of a demography lesson right there and stuff like that. So yeah, it's far from dead. You guys are right. And I'm biased because I've never really been a part of Leaf Nation very strong. I should be. And maybe I'm a good example of it. I'm supposed to be a big, huge Leaf fan because my father was. He went to Maple Leaf Gardens and he saw the Leafs win Stanley Cups when he was a child. When he was young, he was around that era in the 60s and the 50s. That's when he was going to the Gardens as a Leaf fan. But I worked for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment 20 years ago, and I saw how poorly they treated the Raptors, and it pissed me off. And it kind of made me against the Leafs. I became anti-Leaf when I worked for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment because of how they were treating the Raptors. And I was the only one standing up for the Raptors around 2000, 2001 in some ways within the organization because everybody else was like, well, the Leafs are just more important and better. Why are you crying about what we do to the Raptors? It's because I care about the Raptors and I don't give a shit about your Leafs. And if you're going to treat them so poorly within the organization, of course they're going to have a hard time succeeding. And that's why I really love Masai Ujiri and Tim Lewicki, is because they separated the dysfunction of the Maple Leafs from the Raptors and allowed the Raptors to be in this period that we're in now. That it really is a big part of it because we were floundering and falling all over the place when we were so connected to them during the Bosch years and the Vince Carter years and stuff like that. We had a lot of problems within our organization that we don't have anymore because of how much we were connected to the Maple Leafs. So I do have a little bit of animosity towards that franchise because I understand how they hurt our team over those years and stuff like that. But I'd love for them to win. And I'm not a hater of them, honestly. I'm not a huge fan of theirs either. But, I have to respect that a lot of our fans and people that are on this channel love the Leafs just as much as they love the Raptors. And I'm okay with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Stuff like that. I would get out there and be just as happy and celebrate the Leafs winning a Stanley Cup. Also, I want them to win. I'm serious. I really do I want the cup back in Canada just in general. But if it happens with Toronto or Winnipeg, I will be over the moon about it. I will be over the moon for the Leafs or the Jets if they won the Stanley Cup and stuff like that. So let's see. Paul B saying official prediction. Scotty hits a game winner and in the post-game interview says, I know Raptor Freak would have wanted me to win it. Oh my gosh, Paul, that's hilarious. Man, if I get a shout out from Scotty in any kind of way other than on Twitch, that'd be hilarious. Like, honestly, I don't know. Like, if I run into him, I don't know. Like, at this point, he might be like, you motherfucker. He might be saying that to me at this point and stuff like that. But I know that, listen, if he's got more in depth, like if he watches any of these streams, thank you, Scotty. And you don't have to tell anybody you're watching them. Maybe you're watching them just for entertainment, just to have a more down low kind of connection to us fans and seeing what us real Raptor fans are saying and how we feel about things. Hey, I love that. But he does know about this channel and he has at least come to the page and seen some stuff. So who knows? Maybe he's watched more than I thought and stuff like that. But I love that. That'd be hilarious. I don't need him to name drop me, but that would be really hilarious if he did that. Nameless, hilarious. Or Paul, that would be so hilarious. I don't know if I'd clip it. I might. I probably would, just because it would be on like general media and stuff like that. Oh my gosh. Monique's saying she doesn't watch the Raptors Digest guys anymore. Yeah, I had to stop watching them too. I stopped watching them a couple years ago just because they were so hard up for James Harden. And that whole period of time when James Harden was in question about going anywhere, and they were just trying to push so many different ways that we could get James Harden on the Raptors. And I was like, no. At that time, I was like, we do not want James Harden. Now I would be okay with getting James Harden. But at that time, I did not want James Harden. And that's what I'm saying. These guys are like, we like to talk about things in reality here. That we want to react to things that have actually happened. We don't want to speculate in the future or think ahead and try and like shape what we want the team to do and stuff like that. No, we're not Bobby. We're not Masai. We're not Nick Nurse. We don't decide who starts. We don't decide who gets traded, who we pick up and stuff like that. We need to just be fans and watch what they do and react to it afterwards. Like, what is this ego that tells us, oh, we could say something on a YouTube clip, and then Bobby sees it all of a sudden. He's like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to go make this deal tomorrow. Come on, seriously, it's a waste of breath. Fan fiction. You might as well be, like I've said many times before, you might as well be writing about the Central Perk and Joey Tribbiani sitting there with Rachel and how they're all going to hook up and just make some fan fiction up about like whatever, like Friends or something like that. It's the same kind of shit to me. I love those kids. I love their passion and I love what they're doing. And they're doing it much better than me because obviously they got a whole bunch of subscribers and stuff like that. And they've been doing it longer than me. But also, I don't totally approve of their content half the time and what they're trying to put out there and stuff like that. It's a waste of time to me. And Monique stopped watching them for the same reason. Nameless saying only Connor McDavid in Edmonton is better than Austin Matthews. Cool. Yeah. Connor McDavid is another name that I've heard many, many times and stuff like that. I really don't know anything about hockey at this point. I'm not going to lie. Paul B saying, I need that age pyramid for Republicans, please. Okay. Well, that's actually a really good example. But unfortunately, the Republican Party in the US has a lot of like really insidious like recruiting ways. Like they are trying to get young people from the down low, and they really do recruit in really gross, messed up ways and stuff like that. So I wish I could say that their age pyramid is very top heavy and dying off and stuff like that, but they do have an influx of youth in their movement also. I hate to say it. And I don't understand why these kids would be going with them, because honestly, their future has been wrecked and ruined by the greed of the 1% and the people that the Republicans are helping to enrich. That if you're any like young person, you could look at this situation and say, well, this group is not for me. Well, why are you supporting it? It's usually based off of hate. It's usually based off of like keying off of like, well, this person's probably a little bit racist, and that's why they follow the Republican Party or something like that, or they prey on their fears is basically what it is and stuff like that. So Monique saying, Lex, I don't watch hockey, period. I don't either, Monique. I don't either. I'm the same way, but I love the sport in some ways because it has a big part in my family. I mean, I have a lot of Manitoba family and like males and females that have played hockey out there and that love hockey a lot. It is really, truly is a part of Canadian culture. And I have a lot of very important Canadian culture in my family that I have to respect and love. And it's like, I don't hate hockey. I think that it's a great sport. I don't enjoy watching it as much as basketball, but I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to be a hater. I was a much bigger hater of the Leafs like 20 years ago when they were actively just hurting my team. Then I was really down on him. I was talking a lot of trash about the Leafs then. But I've come to terms with being okay with the Leafs in different ways because they did used to really piss me off. Like I was very much like I was the second kid in a family, and the older kid got everything, all the good, nice things, and we got the scraps. It's kind of how it felt working at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment in the organization and seeing it from the inside on how they treated the Leafs compared to the Raptors. Really made me hate the Leafs because of that. Let's see. Monique saying Nav gave me the superfan name in 2016 when we met. That's awesome. Yeah, well, you're very much well-deserved. And Nav, obviously, also. I mean, geez, he's very much, the super fan term or whatever it is, it can be applied to all kinds of different things. Like the other teams have super fans. Obviously, they got the Philadelphia super fan that was at the games last year. You got people like Jack Nicholson was considered a super fan of the Lakers and stuff like that. It's not really a gatekeeping term. Like if you really consider yourself a really in-depth, crazy fan of something, you're a super fan. And it is what it is. But I love that Nav anointed you but you were a super fan way before he said that to you. You were. You were always a super fan and stuff like that. Duke saying maybe this favorite bias is local to Toronto, but hockey rules Canada. When the Raps won the chip, a huge percentage were bandwagoners. Yeah. I mean, it's true. In the rural areas and a lot of different places that aren't cities, hockey is king and stuff like that. There's no denying that. And I'm not trying to say that hockey's going to get supplanted by basketball as far as being the national pastime and being so culturally significant in Canada. I'm just trying to see is Toronto specifically getting more behind the Raptors because of their more recent success. It's like really cool to be a Raptor fan. And the Leafs, it's kind of harder to be a fan of at this point. It's kind of a switch and stuff like that. I don't know. There's no definitive way of looking at this. We did do a Sunday report about this summer that's really great to review and look at because we do look at the stats. We look at which team's worth more, which one generates the most money, which one has the most merchandise sales, all that kind of stuff. And that does kind of point to which team is more important or more popular and stuff like that. But hockey does rule the whole country. Like everything, look and cranny in rural places, and this really is a rural country overall. There's not as much urban area in it as like rural, and hockey is number one. So I won't deny that. And I'm not saying that basketball will ever overtake it over the whole nation, but maybe in the city of Toronto it will. All right, let's see. Nameless is saying, I'm a card carrying member of Leafs Nation, but I started to embrace the Raptors about 10 to 12 years ago. Yeah. And listen, I don't want to dish y'all. I know that there is a worry that I may, I'm just being me honestly and stuff like that. And I don't want to disrespect Leaf Nation. I really don't. But I do want to be honest about how I feel about it and stuff like that. So Duke Rocks is saying, this brings me back to the conspiracy theory with the Huskies folding. Yeah, okay. Duke's brought this up a couple times, and I really do. When you brought this up, the more I thought about this makes total sense. Hockey Canada may have seen the threat of kids playing basketball all over hockey. Yeah. It's interesting. I found out a couple of different times where we could have gotten a team in the NBA before we did. Like there was a time in the early 80s where we almost got a team in Toronto, and it would have been a disaster. It may have like ruined everything because the team probably wouldn't have stuck. It would have been similar to the Huskies. So that's the real problem. Is there's been a couple times where we tried to get teams. We almost bought the Cleveland Cavaliers and moved them to Toronto in the late 80s. There was a moment where that was going to happen and it didn't go through. So there's been a couple of times to jump back into the NBA since. And that this one that happened the way it did is really kind of good the way it happened, because the other times when it happened, it may not have stuck and it may have been a big, huge failure. And there would never have been a championship with the Raptors, and there wouldn't be a champion. There wouldn't even be a team in the NBA. It might have failed, and they would never, ever, ever try to be in Toronto again because they saw how it failed that way. So we're really lucky. The timing and the buying group and the way it all went down and how it happened stuck. Because there were opportunities before 1995 to have a team in Toronto, and that would have not worked. And it would have been a disaster, and we wouldn't have what's happening. Yeah. Nameless saying, now I love the Raptors even more than the Leafs. Well, we don't have to pick and choose. If you love both of them, just love them both equally and stuff like that. But if you want to love the Raptors more, that's fine too. Duke's saying also, basketball has overtaken hockey from a salary point of view. A scrub in basketball can make as much as a star player in hockey. This is true in a lot of ways. And that really does speak to the popularity above and beyond Canada. The U.S. drives financially the NBA, makes more money. Like, in fact, this is something I should talk about right now. They've announced that the salary cap is going to go up in the next year or so. And this is fantastic news, guys. Because think about this. We've got all these young studs on our team. If the salary cap goes up like 10 million, like they're saying in the next year or so, it'll be easier for us to retain Scotty, Precious, OG, Gary, all the guys all together because the money's getting expanded. And that's symptomatic of the NBA doing really well profit-wise. If they're making so much money, they can expand the salary cap. This is really good. And it's great timing for us in our schedule with our young players and who we may have to give big contracts to in the next couple of years. So I'm really happy about that news. But yeah, the salaries are indicative of how much money the leagues are making. So if there's scrubs in the NBA, they're making just as much as stars in the NHL. That's because the NBA is generating more money and stuff like that. Yeah. Let's see. Raymond's saying, but Rachel and Joey did hook up. Okay, well, I don't watch the show enough, Raymond Jacob, to know what friends it wouldn't make sense that they hook up or whatever. I don't know. That's just my general example for like trade talk. It's fan fiction, and so the friends all have an orgy at their apartment or something like that. It's gross. It's really gross, actually, when I think about it. Nameless is saying, I prefer the sport of basketball now over hockey. I find basketball much more entertaining at this stage in my life. For me, I've never really liked these sports where there's only like a handful of goals. It's the same thing with soccer. I find it so boring. Like I guess I just have a short attention span. I love to see continuous goals. I love to see guys score over and over again, 100 points, stuff like that. Whereas, like, you can watch a hockey game and it could end up being like a very tied or very low scoring. You're just watching guys skate around and stuff like that. I'm sure you could get into the nuts and bolts of it and really enjoy the little minutia of hockey and, like, different moves and things, and like the whole part of that. Same thing with soccer, but that's just not for me and stuff like that. So let's see. Duke saying, can make more money. Typing sucks today. Yeah. I understand what you're meaning. At Nameless, I have to age presently from an entertain point of view. Basketball I find most interesting. Agree. Well, there's other things too. It's like they're not wearing masks or helmets like in football and hockey in some ways. And like you're not so far away like it is with baseball. You can be right up on the court. It's intimate. So you really do get a more personable experience. You see the emotions, the way the players are acting during the game. You can see it's more connection to the basketball players because they're more out there and you can see them. The hockey players you can see to a degree also too. But it's a different kind of thing, and that's part of it. You can have Scotty Barnes flying out of bounds because he got pushed by a couple Miami Heat into you, and your beer goes flying everywhere and stuff like that. There's a wall between the fans and the players in hockey, and there isn't that in basketball. And so Drake can come up and rub Nick Nurse's shoulders, and the fans can yell and be more involved and right there in it and stuff. So it's that kind of thing. It's the intimacy of it. In some ways, Isaac's saying, but the kids are playing b-ball more than ever. It's a much more accessible sport than hockey, whether it's FIBA, CBL, Raptors, etc. The future is balling, and Isaac knows that. Isaac's out there on the court himself with his kids, taking shots and building a future with his Campbell kids. They're out there shooting too. That's true. This is very much true. And stuff like that. We went over this quite a bit in the whole hockey versus basketball debate, that, you have to buy a lot of equipment to play hockey properly and stuff like that. And in basketball, you may just need your shoes, a hoop, and a basketball and stuff like that. So Monique's saying, what an awesome stream today. Basketball news is left and right. Real fast. Basketball never stops. That's right. There's a lot going on, especially with the NBA head office, talking about changing rules and making things different for the game and stuff like that. Very excited about it. Look for content on that kind of stuff, whether it's the Elam ending, the midseason tournament, different stuff, the innovations that they're coming up with and stuff. We will definitely be talking about it here and stuff like that. Nameless says, I fell in love with basketball. I can't get enough. He said, Depeche Mode, David Gahan, he just can't get enough. Just can't get enough. All right, on that note, me singing almost 2.5 hours. Wow, way longer than I thought. We had a lot of love and respect to share for Dwane Casey, and that really was what it was. All right, just real quick recap. Check out Terrence Ross's YouTube channel. He has the whole matchup between him and Scotty Barnes, game one of them playing 2K against each other. It's very entertaining, shit talk, and a lot of fun. Seeing Terrence and Scotty play each other, so much fun. So check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And then also tomorrow, we'll be doing the special Sunday special report on the Tim Donaghy Netflix special. So please, if you haven't watched it, watch it on Netflix. It's called Untold, The Flagrant Foul, the Tim Donaghy story. We'll be talking about that in depth tomorrow. So Dwane, we love you, man. Please go easier on us, man. This has been a real battle. And I know we did you raw. And I understand why your guys get up for us because, they understand what happened, the history between the Toronto Raptors and Dwane Casey. And they want to do it for Case. I know they want to do it for Case. But please, all right, we love you. We understand what you did. We give you credit. We love you for what you did for Toronto. Please just lighten up a little bit. Go a little easier on us, please. We'll see what happens this season. It's going to be fun. Pistons versus Raptors, always a good matchup. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. I appreciate all of the different comments and being along with me for the ride and stuff like that. It's always so much fun to interact with you guys each and every day. All right. Have a great day, y'all. And please subscribe if you have not subscribed already. It really helps me with my numbers and stuff. I really appreciate what you said, Isaac, the other day in your comment. And I hope you're right. We'll have to see how it all happens and how it goes down and stuff like that. All right. Let's go Raptors!